Good evening and welcome to Poker Night Live, the show where not only do we watch live Texas Hold'em being played on the internet 7 nights a week, but you also get commentary from our team of experts, and I'm joined by Mark Bannon tonight.
Yeah, hi.
I've not seen you for ages.
No, it's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, it has been a long time.
Hopefully you're going to have a great show tonight. We've got loads of games coming up for you, and as always, we are live and fully interactive, and it's amateur night, so we want all your questions, all you new players. If there's anything at all that you don't understand, Mark's here to help you improve your game, so please do get in touch with us. You can text us here in the studio. The text number, there it's up on your screen now, it's 62211, 62211, or you can email. There's the address, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And also, why not have your say on Poker Night Live? One of our new things, you can call 0906 200 7080. Leave us a message there if you've got a question or just want to make a comment about the show, and you can hear your message being played out live on TV.
Yeah, excellent stuff.
So hopefully get some good questions tonight. It is amateur night, so don't be afraid if it's a very simple question, something basic that you just don't quite get yet, then get those questions through to us. Well, we've got loads of games coming up, Mark. Would you
let's go round. Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at what we've got today. Okay, first one is a cash game. This is a 25-cent 50 cash game. Maximum buy-in is $50 and 7 players in this one, so we might take a little pop in there a little later on. On the next one is a sit-and-go tournament. This one is practically near its climax. Yeah. Only 3 players remaining, so they're battling it out for the prize money there. 3 prizes. This one is same tournament, just this one happens to be a $10 sit-and-go. The buy-in for this was $10. They were given 1,000 chips, and this one's just kicked off, so early doors for that one. And last one of the evening is a multi-table tournament. This one started a little while back. It's still, well, I say a little while back, only a short while back, in fact. This one is in its first level. Blinds are 10-20, and should be interesting, this one, because and unlike the other one, this one's actually started with 137 players. So quite a lot of interest in that one today, so it should be interesting. Yeah,
we'll be dipping in and out of that throughout the night, so it should be good. So what have you been up to recently anyway? I've not seen you for so long, have you?
No, well, I was in LA a few weeks back playing in some tournaments and some cash games and sit-and-goes and stuff like that.
Oh, it's so glamorous being a poker player,
yeah,
isn't it?
It's hardly glamorous when you come back a little bit with your pockets a little bit empty. But
oh,
no,
really?
But actually it wasn't too bad, that one. Yeah, that one wasn't too bad. Yeah, that one's okay.
It's a good poker scene in LA?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, they've got a lot of poker going on there. They've it's actually got the biggest poker room in the world there.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, that was pretty good.
Well, I might need to take me next time.
Oh, okay. I don't know if the wife will agree to that one. We'll see.
Excellent stuff. I wish I'd gone. Right, we're going to get to a game, Mark. I think we should have a look at the multi-table tournament and see how they're getting on. There it is. So it's $10 buy-in and 137 runners.
Yeah, this one starts with 137 runners. Now, 10 places get paid, so to give you an idea, 10th will get $20.55 return for his money, and first prize takes home a very healthy $411. So that's
nice return.
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good.
So it's a 12-minute clock, which for our new players, basically that's the time when the blinds are going to be going up every 12 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So blinds go up every 12 minutes. Starts off 10:20, then 20:40, then 25:50, I believe. And just it keeps increasing, and that way it makes it forces people to actually play a little bit. Unlike the other one, this one actually they start off with 1,500 in chips, so lots of play. No one has to do anything too drastic to start off with, but also gives you a chance to be a little bit creative and create some chips for yourself.
So still very much in the early stages, and this is when people should be really trying to build their stacks.
Yeah, this is where they want to take a few chances. They don't want to really cut their stacks too much, but they want to take a few chances at this stage and see if they can accumulate a few chips.
But without doing anything drastic.
But without anything too drastic. But it's up to you, really. It's up to the same time. You know, some people, they'll have bigger and better tournaments to go into, so what they'll do is they'll take a lot more risk in that one, saying they'll either do really well to start off with and kick off really well, or they'll just go into their other one.
Yeah.
So it really depends on each person's individual circumstances. And some people do that anyway. So just start off really aggressively. As we see Miss Marlin there with a 9-5. Don't know really what he was hoping to catch there, but that was the general idea. He limped in with a 9-5, but didn't catch any part of the flop.
Guess when the blinds are as low as they are now, a lot of people will be maybe trying to have quite a cheap look at the flop.
Yeah, some people looking cheap at the flop. He was in position there, he was on the button, and when you're on the button it means you're last to act, and when you're last to act it means that you're in the best position to try and steal from people and re-raise people and stuff like that. So
you've got all the information before you have to make a decision. You can see how everyone else plays first, then you act last. So
yeah, absolutely.
Great position to be in.
It is, yeah. It's an advantage. So that's one of the things about having that button. That's the little D that you see next to Ace Allen at the moment. Didn't want to... well, that's a pretty nice flop for a pair of sixes. The only problem is that West Ham has actually got a bigger pair. So he's got 9s and 5s and Marlin has 6s and 5s. So it could be a bit of a problem, this, for Marlin, because he probably thinks his pair is best at the moment.
Yeah, he's got no overcards on that flop there, so he thinks he's in a pretty healthy position.
He is, and this is a tough call here. Not because he's whether it calls, it's just a case of whether he calls or raises. Now, really, he should be raising in this situation. He just has to decide what West Ham has got. Well, that's going to slow down all the action now because the ace is out there, which West Ham is going to be worried about, as well as Marlin. So we probably won't see, well, I'll say that, and West Ham is just ignoring it. Well, he decided to represent that ace.
Yeah.
And he said just in case, and that was a bit lucky there for Marlin, I think.
Yeah, it was good that ace came down.
Yeah. And here we have another table, and this one's an interesting table because one of our regular players on there is L Pig.
Oh yeah,
and he's
he knows us very well, doesn't he, L Pig? When I've seen him before,
he does. Yeah,
I've seen him with a couple of final tables and doing quite well in these multi-table tournaments.
Yeah, he had a little run within the last couple of weeks or so where he kept on getting quite far in his tournament. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares in tonight's tourney. It's a little bit smaller than what he's used to. Usually, we tend to see over 200 players in these.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
But this one, I suppose it is Saturday night, so they're all out and going out. And
everyone's in the pub.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. So this one starts off with 137. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. We've got a pair of 10s here for Dewim. I'm sure he's probably going to raise it. Yeah, that's a fair raise, I think. It's a bit heavy, but not too bad. 120, a little bit on the big side. Means he's putting in 120 to win 30, which is not great.
He just wanted to make sure he pushed everyone off that there because he's in middle position and wanted to make it big enough. Yeah,
I think you have to. I think it can be a little bit too big. You do want some people sometimes to call you, and you do have to. You've got to appreciate this is a game where you do have 5 cards in the middle, and this is a flop game, so it does mean that you are going to have to play flops. And whilst it's not ideal with a pair of 10s, sometimes if the board comes 3 low cards, you can you can get someone to invest a lot of chips into it.
Even if he gets one caller, it's a better hand up against one person.
Yeah, I think when you get a nice hand like that, you've got to try and get something a little more out of it than just a 30 that he picked up there.
Yeah.
Now, Swifty's looking over and he's thinking, well, if I catch an 8, I'm going to have a straight, but I've also got 2 overcards to the board. Sorry, a 7, I'll catch a straight. But I've also got 2 overcards to the board, so if I catch one of those, that'll probably be good too. And he's pretty right.
Got lots of outs.
Yeah, they're all waiting for middle pins here. And that's not one of them, so really... I
think whoever bets will take it now.
Yeah, although DJ has a little part of that. He's got a pair of 2s, but that's about it. And that's a nice bet by Swifty. He's probably realised he's not ahead. So he's decided to put a nice strong bet out there and takes it. So that's what position does for you. He saw the other 2 were weak. They didn't bet. He thought they must be weak. I'll have to bet to win this.
Yeah.
And he did. He put a nice strong bet in. Well done. Nice bet.
So another table.
Okay, he's another regular there is Marty Doc. We've seen him a few times.
Yes.
Will Tomcat, another regular. Quite a few regulars we see tonight. Running Lee, I've seen that name about before.
Slow Steve's got his king there.
Yeah, he's probably looking for a check raise here, I guess, which is the right way to play it if you feel that your opponent will bet. Now, as long as he doesn't call here, he has called. Well, that's okay. It's worked out okay for him. I would have preferred a check raise because whilst he's got a pair of kings, he is still fairly weak. It's only a weak pair of kings. He's got a very poor kicker, but he's now hit a second pair. And he's played it very passively. I don't really like it, to be honest with you. I think all that's going to happen is that he's letting someone in for a cheap draw, and that, you know, he'll let someone in, they'll overtake him, and they'll catch something, and he'll think, oh, why didn't I bet that?
Yeah.
Well, this could be trouble for Slow Steve, especially if that queen comes. Now, I assume he'll call here, Slow Steve. Let's have a look. The 6 is, well, he's folded. That's a surprise. He's in late position. He's folded a pair of 6s.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's curtains, isn't it? Curtains for Will Tomcat.
Flopped his flush.
Actually flopped the flush. 118 to 1 to actually flop that flush. And he's managed to do it. And Will Tomcat doesn't really see any potential danger there. He can see 3 spades. He just thinking, well, I don't think there's good. It's not really much of a chance of someone having 3 spades. And we could see, Will Tomcat. He's drawing very thin, and he could do it with an ace or a 4, and he does. Wow,
oh,
he hit it with a full house, runner house. Gosh, that was nasty for Holt there. Holtkla. Very nasty indeed.
Very unfortunate on the river there, wasn't it? He thought his flush was definitely the strongest hand.
Yeah, and then he had 2 cards to make him a house. He was a strong favourite there, Hotelka. Very strong indeed. So he was very unfortunate. He won't be pleased about that, will he?
Definitely not. He's still in it though. The blind's still 10-20. He's still got a fair amount of play in him left. He's not lost his full stack, so
no,
he's
lucky
pushed it in now though.
Yeah, well, he's got the better hand, and it still stays a better hand. So he's made a bit of a comeback there.
Yeah.
Which you'll be pleased about.
Yeah, that would have hurt.
Yeah, that was.
When you flop a flush, you know, you think you definitely think you've got the best hand.
So we'll see how this one develops.
So you got 3 5s on the flop there.
Just stuck that hand through the poker calculator, and to give you an idea on that flop, that he was a 97% favourite to win that. So 3 times out of every 100 he'll lose that hand. So he was very unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully that'll make him feel a little bit better. It's very unlikely
It's
that it's
very
going to
unlikely.
happen
It won't
again.
happen very often.
Yeah.
No. 3 times out of every 100, and it just happened.
And happened when he's on TV.
Yeah, but at the same token, he was 118 to 1. So once in every 118 to actually flop the flush.
Yes.
So there's all different ways of looking at it.
So we're going to leave that MTT for just a bit. We will be going back to that a bit later, dipping in and out and seeing the conclusion of that. But we're going to go to a cash game now. It's a 25-cent, 50-cent. So a completely different game.
Yeah, this one's a very different scenario. We're talking about a cash game here. You can buy in for anything between $5 and $50, $50 being the maximum. If anyone you see has got more than $50, it means they've earned it at the cash table. So you can see Assidious there with 99, so he's $49 up. Folly with 76, he's $26 up. And Mr. PT, he's $22 up. So they've had a good innings so far, those guys.
And we've got 25-cent, 50-cent blinds. Static blinds, they won't be moving.
No, that's right. In a cash game, they don't change. They stay at 25.50 throughout the cash game. And the great thing about cash game is that you can play for 5 minutes or you can play for 5 hours. It's totally up to you. You can get up and start. You can start when you please and you can finish when you please. The one rule about cash games is that if you do get up with a profit, then you have to, if you do return to the table, every tournament is different, every software is different, but if you do return to the table, usually within about 20 minutes, then you do have to sit down with what you originally came off the table with.
So you can't just keep creaming off your profit.
You can't just keep creaming off your profit. No, that's exactly right, yeah.
Yeah. And that's dollars there underneath the names, not plain in chips now. That's real cash dollars.
Yep, it is indeed.
But still no limit hold'em.
It is, yeah. So Snapper is wondering whether a re-raise is due here. He didn't actually have to re-raise in that situation. He could have actually just called if he wanted to with that kind of board. Whilst it might think, well, why would you possibly call with that kind of board? Well, he did have, first of all, he did have 2 overcards.
Yeah.
He also had some backdoor straight possibilities. If an 8 came, that would have given him an up and down straight draw. If a jack came, that would have put him in a situation with an up and down straight draw. So, you know, he had lots of possibilities there. So in that kind of situation, if I feel that the guy isn't that strong, which, let's face it, with a 9-7 deuce board or whatever it was, he can't be that strong. So it's probably would have been worth a little call there, especially as you've got position on him. Not only if you've got position, though. If you haven't got position, then it's a throwaway hand.
Yeah. And when we're saying overcards for our new players, we mean when the flop comes down, the first 3 cards on the board, that there's higher cards there, so you know that someone else could have made a higher pair than what you've got.
Well, what we mean by overcards is that if you've got, like, say, for his example, Queen 10, and the 3 cards in the middle are 7, 9, 9, 7, 2, then you've got overcards to the board.
Right.
So it means your 2 cards are higher than anything that's appearing on the board, which means that if you hit a 10 or a queen, there's a good chance that you've got the best pair.
Yeah.
Of course, unless someone's made 2 pair with that, but that's what we mean by overcards.
But if there's a king and an ace on the board, then the overcards are on the board. So
then you've got the overcards on the board. Exactly. Exactly right. Yeah, because even if you do make your pair, it means that someone could still have already a bigger pair than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So it's a bit more of a risky playing it the way I've said than snap it, but it's certainly a more creative way, and it's certainly a way that if you do happen to hit, then you can hit big, because your opponents generally won't be able to feel you for that hand.
Right.
I mean, in this particular case, what probably would have happened is that a card would have come out on the assumption it wasn't going to be an ace, which is what Folly had. Then Folly would have had to check. More than likely would have had to check, and Snappy could have taken it away with a steal. Yeah. So that was it. There was different ways he could have won that particular hand. So just something to look out for the future, really. Now he's got a jack-high flush, which he's aiming for, not the greatest flush in the world. And Mr. PT is making him pay here because he's got a top pair, not a very good kicker, and he's saying, but he's only bet half the pot. There was about 14 in that pot. And Snappy is thinking, well, it's not a good draw, and he's right, it's not a good draw. It's not one you want to call with you, you'll want to raise it or fold it, and he's done the right thing there. He just folded it. And it's a nice size bet from Snappy. 2. Sometimes people go a little bit overboard of ace-king and they don't get any callers. 152 in this situation is good because he wants to try and get someone with ace-jack, ace-queen, ace-10 to call him. So if that ace hits, then he's going to get a big payday. Well, it's been checked, and I'm sure Snappy will be putting out a pot-sized bet here or thereabouts. He does, makes it exactly a pot-sized bet. Gets a call, but he wants to round this off now, although he has got a good drawing hand here, Snappy. He probably wants to put a similar type of bet, maybe 7 or 8 would be a nice bet here. 10's a little bit on the heavy side, I think, yeah. Because he had the nut flush draw, he had the top pair. Yeah. So I think it would have probably warranted a 7 or 8 bet. More than the previous bet, but not to scare off the other guy. He almost wants the other guy to call because he's got such a nice hand now. Yeah. And Mr. PT had an inside straight draw, but that was all. So.
The 9s are going to take it. We're not going to see a flop this time.
No, he has taken it, and he's 2 ways of playing that. He could have just called, or he could have raised in that situation. He elected to raise, and that play is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, happy enough to take the blinds there. Yeah. Quick email from Nigel, who says, if your TV tables had any more big rocks, they'd call it Stonehenge.
Yeah, they do have sometimes. Sometimes it's strange because sometimes they'll be really quite tight. And what he means by rocks is that the tables are actually quite tight. The players on there are quite tight, so that does happen sometimes. It really depends, on the players themselves. Sometimes
it depends what we're watching. I think we do see that particularly in the cash games, but not so much in the multi-table tournaments. You see a lot more variance in the play, don't we, in the MTTs?
Yeah, because in the multi-table tournaments, you've got to be more creative. The blinds are escalating all the time, and you can't just wait for them to be so high that your stack is so small in comparison. So yeah, it is important for you to make moves in multi-tables. And some people don't translate that as doing that in. You can be a little bit more of a grinder in the cash games. Yeah, so that's a good way of playing sometimes.
But a lot of people are playing very tightly, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, is it? It means
No, it's a good way for new players to start off.
Yeah.
If you are going to start off, you don't want to start doing Gus Hansen type moves and re-raising and calling of all sorts of rubbish, because it takes a certain skill to learn. And that's not something that you can just pick up immediately.
No.
You've got to be a good reader of people so that you know whether your rubbish is actually got a chance of winning when you even haven't got the best hand. Because let's face it, if you are playing with rubbish cards, most of the time you're going to have to bluff, because you will never have a good hand, or very rarely will you have the best hand. So it means you're going to have to be more adept at bluffing and reading situations. Otherwise, if you're not in that situation, then it means that you're going to have to bluff off a lot of your chips.
So not good when you're just starting out. And
Definitely not, no.
And I suppose when you are playing very few hands, you can sit there, you can take in what's going on around you, you can observe the other players and also get a feel of the big hands which you should be playing with. So it is the best thing to do when you're just starting out. Yeah,
it is. It's important, because you should start off, you need a foundation, like anything that you start off. You need a foundation. If you're an apprentice carpenter, you won't be, building something that's really, really complicated. You'll start with the simple basic stuff first, and then build your way up to the more complicated stuff. But that's really that's really how you want to start. If you want to build off your foundation by knowing that, starting off with the best of the premium hands, and then as you get more experience, then play one or two creative ones.
Different elements to your game as you get better and better and more comfortable and more confident. So
yeah, that's exactly right.
Good email. All right, we're going to go back to the cash game. Let's see how these rocks are getting on.
Yeah,
over in Stonehenge.
Well, Assidious obviously isn't playing too much of a rock, because he's going from strength to strength. He's now doing very nicely now. He's actually more than doubled his stack, and if you can do that in any cash game, regardless whether it's this cash game or any other, then if you can double your stack, then you're looking pretty good. And he's done more than that. He's actually got $113, so he's in profit by $63. He started off with, well, I assume he started off with 50. Of course, he could have started off with even less, but that was being the maximum he could have started off with, so he's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it looks very small stakes, but there's certainly a fair amount of money changes hands on these small stakes cash games, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we're just looking around here, there's a little under $500 on this table.
Yeah.
So, we're not talking about pennies that they're playing for, nickel and cents. These are all real dollars that they've got in front of them, and the table's worth about a little under $500, just doing a quick tot-up.
Folly puts in the raise with his ace-10.
Yeah, an interesting hand for Folly. He's now hit the... he's got a 3-card straight out there. Now, you might think that's not a very good hand, but it does have potential to improve, obviously. And if you've got position, you may sometimes want to peel one off if it's not too expensive. That was possibly a little bit on the expensive side for him to actually peel one off, I think. So you've probably done the right thing, I think, by folding in that case.
Maybe if he just needed to hit 1 card to make it straight, but it was too expensive when he had to hit 2.
Yeah, he had to hit 2, but he did have, once again, he did have 1 overcard to the board.
Yeah.
So, so that was the other thing. It wasn't just the middle straightening cards he was after. It was also the 1 overcard which he could have hit. And in this case, if he did hit it, he would have been in great form, because his opponent had an ace-2, but a smaller one.
Yes.
So, Neat Blue decided to make a 3/4 pot size bet, thinking that his bottom pair was good, and it worked out okay. What is with a pair of 5s? Probably coming for a raise here. I think it's a bit too weak to come in with just a call in this stage. He's near the back end. There's only 4 players left, and all he's doing really is just letting the blinds plus possibly the dealer in for very cheap.
Yeah.
So I think a raise would have been better in that situation. Nothing too major, just 150. $2 would have been about the right sort of bet there. Because
he's going to let the big blind see the flop for free now.
Yeah, he's letting the big blind and the small blind seeing it for next to nothing, and the dealer, of course, is now he's done exactly the right thing. The dealer, he's sensed weakness from hotties, and he's put in the bet, taken a betting lead, and whatever happens, he's going to come out betting on the flop, on the assumption that hotties checks.
It's a perfect example of where his position has helped him, isn't it? Because he's acted last, so he's seen Hottie just call and look fairly weak. So yeah, he's been able to raise it up and take it.
Well, in fact, he's just taken it without even a challenge.
Yeah.
So there you are. Yeah, that's a bit tight play there from Hotties. I think he should have, a bit passive really.
Yes.
I think he should have been more inclined to It's a bet out. Well, we've got Assiduous in early position, making it $2, which is an okay sort of bet. The only problem is no one's got really much of anything, and because Assiduous is quite strong in chips, he's unlikely to get a call from any sort of weaker type hands. Whereas if he just had 50 in front of him, the mental idea of the other players is that they are likely to slightly call him with slightly weaker hands than they normally would. But the fact that he's got more chips there, they're less inclined to do so. Shouldn't make any difference, but that's the way people think. So
yeah, it does affect you when you can see if someone's got a lot more money there than you have. You are a bit more reluctant to get involved in a pot with them, especially if your hand isn't that strong.
Well, look at this, what we've got here. We've got Mr. PT trying to pretend that he's got the ace there, and DJ is saying, well, you might have an ace, but I've got something a little better.
I got trip queens.
Yeah, now DJ is actually praying that the guy's got an ace. We can see how weak he really is, and he's only got a 6-7. And that was a poor call there from Mr. PT. He tried a little move, it didn't work, and he got re-raised almost straight away by DJ's, pre-flop. So he really shouldn't have been calling the re-raise pre-flop. He's out of position with a suited connector, and whilst I don't mind calling a raise every now and again with that kind of hand, it was a big raise to call. Yeah. That was a problem. It was
it showed a lot of strength.
It was 25% of his stack.
Yeah.
And you don't really want to call off 25% of your stack with a suited connector. I mean, that's just too much. So that was a poor call. He tried it, it didn't work. On to the next one. That's really how he should have looked at it. By the same token, had he have hit, he would have looked like a master. But it unfortunately won't happen very often where the flop is going to bring you such a nice hand that you're going to take it down, after the guy's made such a big raise. Yeah. He's usually saying to you he's going to go all the way with this hand.
He would have lost a lot more had he have had an ace.
Yeah, I think DJ actually let him off a little bit there. He probably thought he actually had an ace.
Yeah.
That's probably what DJ thought. He thought, well, you bet it's quite strong, so I feel that you must have ace-king or ace-queen perhaps. Little did he know, he actually had nothing like that at all.
So, Snappet's got a pair of jacks.
Yeah, and he's done the right thing here. He's made a 3/4 size bet, and Mr. PT gets away. And he didn't want to give him a free card because his hand wasn't huge, but it was big enough to put out a little bet there, and he did so. Lots of different ways of playing this. One of them is folding, one of them is calling, and one of them is raising. He's decided there's no huge way of playing this kind of hand in this kind of position. Probably a raise is probably just slightly better in my opinion. But he can call with it as well. It's nice and cheap. He can see if he can hit an ace and take it down, or he can see if he can hit the flush, or sort of cards to a flush. He's got no part of it, but that's not a bad flop for ace-8. There's a good chance that an ace-8 in this situation will be winning, and he should be putting out a feel a bit here. A bet of 2 would have been quite nice, because I was about to say that Cosgrove is now going to do this with absolutely anything.
Yeah.
He's got position, and unless you're prepared to re-raise him, he'll do it all day long from that position with absolutely anything. And Snappet just threw away the best hand. So I think you've got to realise that you won't hit a flush with ace-8 very often, or with any suited cards. You won't hit the kind of hands you're looking for. Yeah. So you've got to appreciate that sometimes you're going to have to bluff with these hands. And that was a pretty good chance, that was a good opportunity.
You could have done it there. There's 2 kings on the board, so it's a lot more likely that someone else has a king. There's
unlikely,
2 of them out there.
Exactly.
So
that's exactly right. So for a bet of $2, I think he could have found out. He was basically always going to have a very good chance of taking that pot down. And you never know, he might have got called by a worse pair, by a pair of 7s or something, and he might have even hit his ace on the next card and get some value out of it. So, all sorts of things could have happened there. But you've got to realise that when you've got ace high and the board is paired on the flop, there's a good chance
you're ahead.
That you're ahead. Yeah, not always, but there's a good chance. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. What have you lost? You've lost $2. Big deal.
And especially when he is in late position, because it looks almost like he's just doing it because of the position he's in.
Yeah, I mean, that was fairly obvious. I mean, that Cosgrove was raising there. Let's face it, if he had a king, he was very unlikely to do that.
Yeah.
So he's either saying, I've got a different pair, or I'm just stealing this pot. He's got one of the two. But that's more of a risky play to check raise. That's a more creative play. And I'm not sure I'd agree with doing that in that situation. That's just too chancing. It's going to cost you too many chips. But certainly, I think in that situation, against 2 or 3 other players, bet the pot. And if they've got no part of it, then they have to fold.
Yeah. So,
well, a check here, and he's betting. Now, interesting there. Cosgrove.
We had the straight draw.
Yeah, he had, well, not a good straight draw though, mind you. He did a 10, I believe. But
Yes,
of course,
yeah.
when a board is paired like that, then you could already be losing to a full house or quads. So going for a straight is not ideal. You have to be careful that you know, you're going for a hand that might already be losing anyway.
Yeah.
Even if you,
Even if you hit the straight, yeah.
Yeah, so you might be already losing before you even hit the card.
Yes.
So that's the thing to always watch out for.
Good point. Sometimes you forget about that. You sit there waiting to hit your hand so much and you're so desperate to hit it, you forget that even if you hit it, you could still be behind.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit like a funny play that you see sometimes people do where they've got an up and down straight draw, but the board is 3 diamonds and they haven't got a diamond in their hand, and they're going for their straight.
Yeah.
You know, so one diamond, you know, so it means 2 of the diamonds that potentially could help you could also help someone else hit their straight.
Exactly.
They're a flush.
They're flush, yeah.
So there are various things you need to think about in Texas Hold'em. There's lots of things going on. Well, this is they're talking about up and down straight draws. And he's got one.
Yeah, Cosgrove. And
Now,
it's a queen. And there it is.
Now that, yeah, he's hit it. I think the only thing I would say about that is it would have been nicer for Cosgrove to actually re-raise in that situation.
Right.
But it's worked out okay for him anyway. But he's now, and he's now going to get fully paid, I think, unless a horrible paired board comes or an ace or something like that. No, that's looking okay. And he was a bit worried about the flush, and I think he could have put a little value bet out there. Yeah, so the reason I would have re-raised in that situation, because that was potentially a very scary looking flop.
Yeah.
So even if you've got top pair, you're going to be scared of that flop. You know, someone could have 2 pair, they could have a set, they could have a flush, they could have a flush draw, they could have a straight draw, all sorts. So by him betting or re-raising in that situation, does a lot of things. It buys him a card.
Yeah.
Which means that the next card he gets, if he doesn't hit, he'll probably be free, because
Right.
the others are now going to check in case he re-raises again.
Yeah.
So also what it does is it means it basically buys you 2 free cards. It buys you 2 cards to hit your straight without it costing you very much.
Because they're just going to check next time.
Because they're worried about what he's got now, yeah. But you have to do it on boards that looks potentially scary. So, and that was definitely one of those cases where that board... And plus, if he does hit, guess what? No one will read him for having the kind of hand that he had.
Yeah.
So that's the great thing about it. It's like a double-edged sword. You get extra free cards, plus, if you do hit, no one will guess you for betting out that kind of draw.
Yeah.
So
They'll think you've already hit something, that you're not drawn to something.
And of course, the third thing is, of course, you could actually win it there and then if someone doesn't want to call your raise.
Yeah, so there's plenty of different ways to win.
There's
in that
lots of different ways,
yeah.
So that would have been the strongest play he could have made in that situation. A little bit more risky.
That board, yeah,
it's a little bit more risky because someone, you know, could feel that their hand is strong enough for them to want a re-raise. You know, so it is a little bit more risky, and that might happen from time to time. But I think overall, it's the winning play.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're looking at here. Not the time that it doesn't work. We're looking at, will it work out of 100 times? Will it work more than it fails? And the answer is probably yes.
Yeah, because of course it's not going to work every time, and that's the way it goes. But if it is, in the long term, a winning play, then you need to...
Yeah, and that's the thing to say, you know, is it going to work more times out of 100 or less times?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, it's going to work more, then you do it. The fact that you might get caught out 45 times out of 100 doesn't matter as long as you win more in that 55 times. You know, so that's really the key.
It's one of the things we say so often on Poker Night Live, that it's a long-run game.
It is, yeah.
And you have to look long-term. And just because you may lose it in one particular instance doesn't mean it's a wrong play.
No, absolutely. You mustn't be results orientated. You've got to look at what is long-term orientated. Now, this is a bit dangerous here for Snap It, who's been raised and re-raised. He's up against 2 pair, and that's helped him out. So it's a split pot now, and that's really what he needed. Kings and 9s with a 6. And Snap It is nice and fortunate in that one. And Mr. PT just had his King 3 nullified, his 2 pair nullified by that extra 9 appearing.
So it's a split pot. It's always the best 5-card hand.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what he was doing in that pot, to be honest, with a King 3, Mr. PT. I think that's being over creative there. I don't like that at all. Going in there with that kind of hand. But anyway, he's got a much nicer hand now than the King 3. That is Jack Queen suited. I much prefer that. Lots of different possibilities of winning hands, but the problem is he's up against a hand which is in much better position than him. One, he's got position on him, and two, it's a much better hand. And that's a good play there. He's asking a question. He's saying to you, do you really have a really strong hand like aces or something, or are you on the chance? And Neat Blue is about to find out whether he's got aces or not by putting in a strong bet. That's a bit weak there, I feel. He's got a full house now, so he must feel pretty good about that. And Mr. PT thinks he struck gold by hitting his jack, but he hasn't. And he's going to go all in, no doubt he does.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, thank you very much. I will take that.
Went through a bit of a rocky patch there, Mr. PT.
Yeah, he was being over creative. He was trying to generate action, and you just can't do that in this. You know, in cash games, you can't force the action. You know, you've got to. You've got to play your cards and your position
before the flop, and that should have set off the alarm bells ringing. Really.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was a dangerous hand to play out of position. You know, for that very reason. You know, he hit his queen, and you know he was done. Yeah. So he hit his jack, and he was done rather. So that wasn't good play. Very bad, poor play, really. And really, I don't like the raise in early position as well. I mean, I don't mind varying your play every now and again with that jack queen and perhaps putting in a raise, but most times you don't want to be raising out of early position with it. There are just too many people to go through. You want to try and see a cheap flop.
So just a call there?
I think so, yeah. He did have a straight draw, but like we said, the straight draw...
Wouldn't have mattered anyway, would it?
It wouldn't have mattered because it was a paired board, and whilst at that time he wasn't losing to a full house or quads, you know, it was not the right time to be chasing a straight.
Yeah.
An inside straight at that. It wasn't even an up and down straight. So
yeah, you only had.
Just had those one card to aim for.
One card, yeah.
Yeah, and to give people an idea, with one card to come, you're 10 to 1 to actually hit your inside straight draw. There's a paired board on there. There are 2 diamonds out there, I think, as well. You know, it's not really good. Yeah. It's not really good. You've got to. There's too many negatives for you to be chasing that.
We mean the card in the middle of your straight is missing when we say an inside straight draw or a gut shot.
Yeah, or a gut shot is the same thing. Yeah. So when you've got when the board is 8-9, I don't know, 8-9-2, and you've got Jack Queen, then you're basically saying I need a 10 to hit my straight, which is the middle part, and that's always much harder to hit than when you've got something like 8-9. Well, the board is 8-9-2, and you've got 10 Jack. Then you can hit the 7 or the Queen to actually make it.
And that's the up and down straight.
And that's the up and down straight, yeah.
So if there's anything that we're talking about, don't forget it's Amateur Night tonight, so please do get in touch with us. Don't be afraid to ask. We're here to help you improve your game. Mark will be answering your emails and your questions a bit later on, so keep them coming through. You can text us 62211, or you can email poker@pokernightlive.co.uk.
Well, pair of queens on a big blind. Cosgrove likes to make a little play here usually. Yeah, here he goes. Made his little play. Unfortunately, he has walked into a hand, and I don't mind the play by Cosgrove. I think it's a creative move, and I think it's something that needs to be done. But he's now been answered, and hopefully he'll just throw that away and have no ego. Yeah, he does. Good play there by Cosgrove.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with him doing that as long as he knew that if someone came over the top of him, he had to put it down. Yeah,
and this is why, you see, now it's great to play like Cosgrove plays, because now he can make exactly the same move, and people say, OK, well, he put a bet in before, and this is too much, though. This is far too much. He's got a very strong hand, and he's just, well, he's overplayed it. He's overplayed it. Yeah, he had a very strong hand. He just said, "Get out of here! I don't want you in this." And with a pair of kings, you
want to be called, don't you?
You do, yeah. And if
at least one.
Yeah, you definitely want some action. You don't want to win just a couple of the blinds plus the limper. You know, that was just no good. I can understand how he's scared an ace will come and he'll be out flopped or something, but that was overbet. Yeah. That was a big overbet. I would have liked to have seen a bit smaller, around 250, maybe 3. There was one limper in there, but certainly that would have been the maximum. I tend to overbet slightly too, but and that would have been my preferred bet. So if he's betting even more than I'm betting, then he's really overbetting.
It could be a long time beforehand, as good as that comes to him again.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, to give you an idea, the chance of hitting aces or kings is 110 to 1 to actually hit one of them. So he's going to have to wait another 110 hands, 111 hands, in fact, before another one of those comes along, on average.
Assiduous who's already made a fair bit of profit, considering the maximum you can sit down with is $50. He's now got the aces.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say here is that he has to remember that people are scared of his chip stack, so he mustn't go overboard with his betting, otherwise he'll scare everyone off, because they're already scared of his chip stack. Well, he's played that very neat, hasn't he?
Dream flop for him.
Yeah, he's just trying to get the other guy at it. Now, I assume he'll just call this and not raise, or will he raise? Because there's nothing there that's scary. Now, that's starting to look a little bit scary now. It shouldn't make any difference, but you know, unless a guy has raised him in the cutoff with 9-10 or something. Oh, that's a bit horrible there, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
he's
getting
going to
worse
be
and worse.
worried about the straight now, definitely.
Yeah, he's got to be a little bit worried, but he said, no, I'm going to value bet this. I can't imagine that you've raised me with a 9 in your hand. You know, a pair of 9s is possibly the only hand he could have raised with at that stage to make it. But it worked out all right. And Folly probably wouldn't have called him in that situation because the ace was on the board on the flop, so he probably wouldn't have called a flop bet anyway. Well, this has been an interesting cash game, Lynn. So there's been lots of stuff going on. Look at this, he's flopped the straight. So that's looking pretty good for him, for Cosgrove. Got the straight, and DJ has actually got. Well, look at this. He's got he's got one pair plus the flush draw now.
Yes.
So, how's he going to play this? Is he just going to call, or is he going to raise? And he's just going to call, and he's hit it. Wow, he could get a big payoff now. Let's have a look. 650. How much is he going to raise? I dare say he's going to raise probably about an 8 or 10, probably 10. He's made a bit more, about 13. And he's called him, and he's hit that flush. He got out of jail there, didn't he? Yeah, Cosgrove was unfortunate.
Yes,
unfortunate.
he was. Should he have bet more?
No, I don't think so. He just got unlucky.
Yeah.
He just got unlucky,
Unlucky
really.
on the river.
Yeah, sometimes you can do nothing wrong and just get unlucky.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of those cases.
So, back to the MTT through the Matrix. Got 79 players left now, Mark.
Okay.
And the big stack, I believe, is on this table. I think, if I'm right, is it Sleera at the top there?
It is, yeah. Sleera is the chip leader at the moment with the King 10 there. You can see Will Tomcat there, who's got 1560. Yeah, lots of few sort of smallish stacks around, 1300, 1400, Sleera, and a pretty good table at the moment.
Yeah, blinds 50, 100 now. A lot of people getting to the point where they're going to have to start making some moves. Just over 10 times the big blind.
Yeah, I mean, they're not desperate at the moment because they are on the full table.
Yeah.
So it does mean that they can see a lot of hands for their blinds.
Yeah.
But yeah, they certainly don't want to wait too long. They've just got to try and maximise the situations that they get. So, for example, Panama, for me, I would be looking to try and slow play this a little.
Yeah.
To try and get some value out of it.
He needs to try and build his stack now, so he doesn't want to just be taking the blinds.
Yeah. Well, it's worked out okay for him because he's had one call, and he'll probably get another one now from West Ham because of blue off calling. And this is where he should look at it. He thinks there's enough in the pot. He should be putting out. Should be putting the rest of his chips in. No more slow playing. He's up against two people. His aces. Yeah, he should be just. Well, I think he.
Would you have pushed it all in there?
I think so. Yeah. I think if he's on a draw, he's got to make him pay for his draw.
Yeah.
I'm not taking any more chances. There's enough in the pot, you see.
Yeah.
For him to do that.
He's going to get paid, so get out now. Don't risk it.
Yeah, I think so. You know, he's only got one pair and he doesn't want to over slow play it, and I think that was over slow playing a little by only betting or raising 300 into a 1300 pot or whatever it was.
He's over the 2,000 mark now anyway, so he's back in it.
Well, flush draw for Will Tomcat. Might want to take a chance and shove his chips in here. Let's have a look if he does take that chance. I don't like the 400 bet, to be honest with you, because now he's going to have to commit his 850 on the turn with one card to come. He really should have put someone under pressure right from the very off.
Yeah.
And he's not doing that. There you go. He's given him the chance to re-raise him.
Yeah.
So now all he can do is actually call with his flush draw and his straight draw. Well, he's hit it, but that's not the point. You know, the point was that he really should have been the person to actually make the action, because at the end of the day, the thing to remember about that hand is he was actually 2-1 to hit. You know, so he wasn't favourite to hit that hand. One chance in 3, he'll hit that. 2 times out of 3, he's going to miss.
Yeah, he should have been being proactive, not reactive.
Exactly, yeah. And by calling, all you're doing is just saying, I'm taking a chance that this will be the one time in 3 where I actually make my hand. Of course, he did have an inside straight draw as well.
Yeah, the straight draw as well.
But that wasn't a very good straight draw, yeah. So he was not in a good position there, I don't think, but it worked out okay. Well, ace-king against a pair of jacks. And, well, blue off is a non-believer, and he needs a jack. Didn't come. So we see the end of blue off in that situation. Not many hands to look at here. 7-8 offsuit for Slira. As you know, that's a pretty good hand.
One of your favourites.
It's not one of my favourites. It just happens to be a very good hand.
It's been good to you in the past, hasn't it, Mark?
Well, I don't know about good to me in the past, but it's an interesting hand to play, yeah, as long as you play it correctly. Can be a little bit difficult sometimes to play it the right way. But, yeah, it can be one of those hands that's interesting, let's put it that way.
And the moves are going to leave the MTT for just a bit, Mark. We'll go back to that a bit later on. I've got a couple of emails for you, though. This one is a text message off Missa, who has sent a text about split pots, and he says, I was playing Hold'em. I was in the final after final bets. Hang on, I was playing Hold'em. I was in the final. After final bets, 4 fours and a 6 were in the middle. Is this a split pot or the highest kicker wins? The table I played on told me it was a split pot, but were they telling me porcupines?
So let's have a look. I was playing Hold'em and I was in the final after final bets, 4 fours and a 6 were in the middle. Is this a split pot or the highest kicker wins? No, highest kicker wins, always the highest kicker. You're always playing 5 cards. So if there are 4 fours and someone's got an ace, then that is going to win. If there are 4 fours and someone's got a king, then that will lose to the ace. Yeah, always 5 cards. Always play a kicker if you can mix that into the 5 cards.
Yeah, if it's in the 5 cards.
Yeah. So no, they weren't telling you porkies, they were telling you the truth on that occasion.
There you go, Missa. Thank you for your text message, though. This one is from Gordy, who says, Hi, Mark. How would you suggest playing Big Slick, which is ace-king if you're a new player, in a low-limit cash game?
Okay, well, it's interesting, the question that you asked, because I say it's interesting because, you know, these are interesting hands to play. For one, they're difficult to play on their, you know, they can be difficult to play anyway. But the most important thing to realise is that it's not just about a particular hand in a particular cash game. So, for example, there are certain things that you do need to know, certain information, i.e. are you in early position, are you in middle position, are you in late position? Is the table aggressive or is it passive? So these are, you know, are they, you know, what kind of features, nuances does the table have? And that's important to know how to play certain hands. So it's all about, I would say, the thing to remember about Ace-King is that it's not a great hand as people like to make out, especially in a cash game. For the simple reason, it doesn't make a great deal. It doesn't make straights very often. I think the chance of making a straight is well over 300 to 1. So it doesn't make straights very often. The best you can generally hope for is a top pair, top kicker. So you're looking at 1 pair, which, you know, when you compare it to the rest of the table, it's right at the bottom of the scale. You know, it's right at the bottom of the, you know, of the poker ladder. 1 pair is not very good. And if you do make 2 pair, that's not that wonderful because, you know, someone could be angling for a straight draw. So perhaps what we'll do is come back to that after the break, because it's an interesting subject. Yeah.
But lots of different things to take into consideration. Yeah. There's no hard and fast rules.
No, but I'll cover it after the break in a bit more detail,
okay,
perhaps.
Well, we'll take a short break now, but we will be back and we'll get back to that email. So stick around and we'll see you after the break. Okay, well, before we head to a break, we're going to speak to Philip Kennelly, who's on the line right now. Hi, Philip.
Hi, Lyndsay. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Now, you're from Bluff magazine, which has been very successful over in America, but you've got quite exciting news for people in Europe and the UK.
That's right. Well, we've just launched the first ever Bluff Europe, which is in the casinos around the UK.
Yeah.
And it's on, and also around Europe, and a bit in the newsstands in Sweden. So it's all very exciting, and I don't know. Bluff US has been very successful, but the editorial has always been done over here,
right,
just in a little office opposite Victoria Station. So
all right, here in London.
Yeah, so it's really nice to be part of the European scene. I mean, we've kind of felt isolated and kind of away from the action, from all the American action. But I think what's great about the European scene is that, I mean, it's really, we don't need to feel away from the action anymore. There's a lot of real great tournaments in Europe. You've got the Monte Carlo Millions and the EPT events and the London Open. And that's kind of attracting the pros over from America, and it's like a great scene. It's really exciting to be part of the European scene at the moment.
So what kind of thing is going to be in the first edition then? What you're going to be focusing on?
Well, the first edition mainly is, I don't know if your readers are aware about these Andy Beale games that are going on, or have been going on rather, which are essentially, Andy Beale is a Texas billionaire.
Right.
Who, he's not just some rich kind of whale that wants to give his money away. He's a very driven man who decided he wanted to take on the best pros in the world. And
he can afford to do it.
He can afford to do it, and in a sense the pros can't. And this was the whole point. He figured out that if he made the stakes high enough,
yeah,
and he insists on playing heads up, limit poker, realizing that if the stakes are high enough, a simple bad run of cards for the pros could absolutely break them. So they've been playing this game, which is, $50,000, $100,000.
Are these cash games? This
is freeze out, heads up,
right,
limit poker. And so basically, so there's like $75,000 on the table before anyone's seen a hand, which
right,
is amazing.
It's crazy money.
It's crazy, and he's been doing amazingly well. This all started about 3 years ago, and there's been, prior to this year, there were 2 meetings, and it would swing back and forth, but it was almost though as Andy negated the pros' edge because of the stakes, because of the fact that heads up, limit poker, if you played aggressively, is dependent on the run of the cards,
And of course he's got the money there, so he can be very intimidating.
Absolutely. But what's happened now, he came back and he won $6 million off the pros, and then came back again and played Phil Ivey.
Right.
And Phil Ivey, who is really, I mean, the last couple of years, he's come, he's really shown himself to be the greatest player of his generation, or any generation for that matter. And Phil Ivey wiped him out for $16 million.
16 million?
Yeah.
So
this is what it's all about. We've got this guy called Michael Craig who wrote a very popular book called The Professor, the Banker, and the Suicide King.
Right.
About the original meetings, which were, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe more. So he's, obviously these games are played behind closed doors, and he has kind of sole insight into what's going on. He's befriended Andy Beale. Andy Beale is very publicity shy, but this guy's befriended him, and he's a great writer.
Yeah.
So the next 2 issues are going to be about that, really.
So lots of coverage on that in the magazine, and we're going to talk to you a bit later on, Philip, as well, because you've got some news about some really, really cool, exciting new internet software which is coming out as well, and we're going to be talking more about Bluff magazine. So stick around, we'll talk to you a bit later on, Philip, and we're going to head to a short break now. We'll see you soon on Poker Night Live. Welcome back to Poker Night Live. I'm Lyndsay and joined by Mark Bannon tonight.
Yeah.
For the first time in a long while, we're going to be going back to a game very, very shortly. We left an email though before from Gauzy Mark. He wanted to know how you'd suggest playing Big Slick in a low limit cash game. There's lots to touch on that, and you wanted to come back to that, didn't you?
Yeah, basically, as I said, it really depends on a few things. One, what seat position you've got in relation to the blinds and to the button. Also depends on what kind of table you're on, whether it's an aggressive or passive table. And there are lots of different ways of playing it, because the thing to remember with Ace King is that it doesn't play that well multi-handed. Why? Because the biggest thing you generally make with it is top pair. And of course, if you're playing against lots of people, one pair is not usually good enough. So what I would normally suggest with it is play it a little bit more aggressive. You want to play it in a heads-up scenario. You want to try and do it so that, one, you can try and buy the button if possible, i.e. buy position if that's possible. Also by raising, and as well as that, it means that there's a better chance of you being heads up when that time does come round. So and hopefully then, if you have got position, there's a good chance you could steal it without even making your aces or kings, depending on how the table, how the cards fall, basically. So that's really what I would say. Suggest playing it short-handed, and that's the best way of playing Ace King in a simple way. There is a lot more to it than that, but that's really the thing you should be trying to do with it.
Excellent stuff. Well, if you want to ask Mark a question, it's Amateur Night tonight, so text us 62211. You can text 62211, there it is on your screen. Any question at all, no matter how simple you may think it is, or you can email if you prefer to do that. There's the address, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Or why not have your say, call 0906 200 70 80, leave us a message, a question or a comment, and hear yourself on TV. We play that out. Right, we're going to get to a game. Mark's going to have a look at the MTT for you. I'm off to play in our Beat the Presenter game, which we'll be watching back at 12. So I'm going to leave you on your own for a bit, Mark, and let you take the viewers to the MTT.
Let's go over there. Okay, well, we can see the blinds are now 100, 200, so a little bit more substantial. Let's just see. I'll let you know how many players are left in a moment. 51 players left at the moment, I believe. So we've lost, let's see, 51, start of 137. So we've lost 86 players so far. So pretty good, pretty fast-paced. Okay, now we're looking at Slira, who's got 8,655, but of course there is a big chip leader on, not on this table, but on another table, who's got over 11,000. So that's looking pretty good for them and for Slira. And can't see him, and someone that we mentioned a moment ago, L Pig, has got 1480s on a small stack at the moment. So should be interesting to see how this one develops. Multi-table tournaments, always interesting because they do change all the time. Sometimes you need to play tight, sometimes you need to play aggressive, and the goalposts are always moving in multi-table tournaments, always having to adjust to the different scenarios that keep cropping up. And that's the lovely thing about multi-table tournaments. They always maintain your interest, whereas cash games can be a little bit boring. They're a bit more of a grind. You know what you've got to do in certain situations, in certain scenarios, whereas multi-table tournaments, they're continuously changing, and very rare will you ever have the same situation cropping up over and over again. So let's see what happens here. Got Ace Queen, Panama Creel with the Ace Queen on the button. Okay. I think we're going to head over to another chip leader. We'll just see how this one plays out, because backdoor flush draw, as well as backdoor straight draw, as well as top pair for Panama. So let's just see if anything interesting happens here. He's probably going to bet out. I think that looks like a scary board for him, and he does, and don't blame him. Okay, let's move on to another table. Let's have a look at where our chip leaders hanging out. And there he is. 8 of 9 is our current chip leader, so he's looking very healthy. 11,660. He's got well over 50 times the big blind, which is a good position to be in. If you can maintain a chip stack of anything over 25, then you're in a pretty healthy situation. And King Jack raising it up. He's one of the few players that can actually do a bit of damage to 8 of 9, and he's elected not to take a chance with that hand, and I don't blame him. Well, a couple of interesting hands. Raise there from the pair of 9s. Let's see what the ace-10 is going to do. He might fancy a little call as it's only 400. No, he's actually re-raised. He's taken a betting lead. And wow, that's worked out very nicely for him. And that's really a problem for Gal, for the simple reason that won't expect Brustom to actually have the ace in that situation. Because there are 2 of them out there, it's less likely. And he's checked it very craftily again, and Gal hasn't fallen for it, but I don't think he's going to check it once more. He's probably going to try and get something out of it. And he's bet 800, a little weakies type of bet, and Gal will probably have to pay him off, I think. He played it very weakly, and no, he didn't fall for it at all. That's fantastic lay down by Gal. Well, he read that for exactly what it is. He thinks, well, you didn't try and bet it on the flop, so in other words, you probably do have the hand. So that was really good reading there by Gal, I thought. Excellent. For a $10 tourney to actually have that kind of reading skill, very good indeed. So that could be the difference between winning and losing this tournament, or getting in the top bracket of players, or you know, getting out of the money. So it'd be interesting to see how Gal works out over the course of the next hour or so. Well, Brustom getting creative with his Jack-7 this time, wants to play it, doesn't want to limp in, and decided to come in with a raise. And he's been re-raised all in, and I don't like the call from Brustom, I've got to say, and the reason I don't like it is not because of the amount he had to call, but purely and simply, he's raised out of early position, and now he's basically told everyone what the kind of hands he's raising with, and that's really the issue. Now they've seen that he's actually raised out of early position with Jack-7, he'll get treated a whole lot differently. Well, he should get treated a whole lot differently, let's put it that way. So that was the reason I don't think that was possibly a good call there. Well, he's got a flush draw, he's now got a pair. And 8 of 9 has an inside straight draw, doesn't hit it. And 2 pair for Brustom. And he's really sneaky here. And 8 of 9 shouldn't really be betting here, for the simple reason that he's either winning with the ace or he's not. And if he's not winning, then he's going to have to... there's no point actually betting out, because he'll only get called anyway. So, very interesting indeed, yeah. Good piece of play we're watching here. Well, we see chip leader as well as the guy that's on the lowest stack on the same table. And El Pig, he's got a ace-5. He might feel this is the hand he's going to commit himself to. And I don't think he can afford not to be honest with you. I think regardless of what any other holdings are, I mean, there's not a lot of difference between RS1 and El Pig in terms of where they're standing. El Pig has a very narrow advantage. He's probably a 3 or 4% favourite, if that. But I think this might be the hand he wants to take a chance on. Let's have a look. Yeah, it is, and I don't blame him. I think that's the right move. RS1 will probably call for the extra 980, although it's going to damage him significantly. But he has got quite a nice hand, King-Queen suited. He's up against one player. He probably knows that he's up against a weak ace, or a small pair or something. So I think possibly a misstep there for RS1. I can understand that him not wanting to get called, not wanting to call there, but I think sometimes you've got to take some minimalist risks, and I think that was one of those situations. It wouldn't have been great to call a third of your stack, but in fact it wasn't even a third, was it? It was about a quarter of his stack, so I think he should have done. Well, Brustom, he's certainly one of the more creative players that we've been watching on these multi-table tournaments. He likes to raise at practically every opportunity. And 2 pair for RS1. I don't think he'll be letting this one go. Brustom, well, he's hit 2 pair, but unfortunately it's not as good as the 2 pair that RS has got. And he lost a few chips in that scenario. Well, what's Gal going to do? He's got 7-8 suited and he's coming for a raise, and that's fine. Probably going to get a call here from Kansas Coyote, only 200 more. And that's a nice flop for Gal, top pair. About as good as it gets for 7-8. And nice bet there from Gal, and there you go, 7-8 takes another one down. You know, 7-8 always wins, you see. I keep saying.
Not for me, it hasn't.
Well, this could be danger here. We've got ace-9 against 8 of 9, both in the blinds. And he's played a little bit sneaky. I think 8 of 9 is going to put a raise, and Kansas might think he's at it. He's trying to just win it from me. So you might see him push his chips in here. No, he doesn't. Well, that was an inspired fold there by Kansas Coyote. He read that situation very well. He also knew that he couldn't force 8 of 9 off unless it was a total bluff, because it only meant that he could raise another 2,000 or so, 2 and a bit thousand, and 8 of 9 could easily afford it. So he might even take a risk, might take a gamble with him. So that was a good piece of self-analysis there, I thought, by Kansas Coyote. Nicely played there. Had a nice hand on the small blind, but realised that 8 of 9, there is no rule that says that on the big blind you can't have a big hand. Let's face it, 1 in 8 times you're going to get a big hand on the big blind. Well, L Pig goes from strength to strength, hitting a flush on the end, even though set of 6s for 8 of 9. So giving a little bit of damage to 8 of 9 there. And L Pig is right back in this. And if we look back, we could say that part of it was due to his move of the ace-5 earlier. Good fold there by RS1. That's a middle position raised, unlikely to be a steal. And, well, L Pig just keeps going strength to strength. He's played a pretty solid game, hasn't he? And his timing has been first class. So hopefully we'll see him do some more progression. And Kansas Coyote, he's got paid for his good play earlier. He's now got pocket aces. Unfortunately, no one else has got much of anything. Oh, look at that, very crafty. He's coming in for a little limp there, hoping to catch someone. Hoping to show weakness so that they raise. And Brustom might well do it. He's been known to pull off this kind of move. Well, look at that. It's getting better and better for Kansas. He's now got trip aces. He must feel very strong about his hand. Will he put a little feeler bet out here? Not feeler, will he put it sort of a little weaky type bet? Or will he actually just say, come on boys, catch us part of this? Unfortunately, none of them can call him because they've got nothing. Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably going to be enough to drive them out. And I don't mind Kansas putting out that kind of bet. I think that's probably the right thing to do. You know, there are flushing potential, there is straight potential. But unfortunately, Kansas, no one had anything, so they just couldn't call you. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. I think you've done exactly the right thing there, though. You slow played it once, you don't want to slow play it twice, even though the hand did improve, because it was susceptible to all sorts. We can see there that no one had any of that, but that's not to say that you shouldn't protect yourself. Okay, I think we'll make this the last hand before we go to our cash game. How's it going over there, Lynn?
Fine. I'm not going to give anything away to these boys. I'm
Okay.
all right. Yeah, not too bad so far at all. I've already done something which I know you're going to tell me that I shouldn't have done.
I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, I want you to be honest. But I'm aware that I've done it wrong. But I did it deliberately to try and confuse these guys.
You're trying to confuse them. They're an easy bunch to confuse, I think. So 9-10 suited here, 8 of 9. Likes his 9-10. Would have preferred not seeing 3 diamonds out there, though. And I don't think he's going to call this. He's got an up and down straight draw, and I don't like the call, I must say. I don't like the call because he's got 3 diamonds. The 9 of diamonds, the Jack of diamonds or the 6 of diamonds won't be helpful to him. So, no, I think he's getting a bit desperate now, 8 of 9. He took a little hit there from El Pig a moment ago. And I think that was a little bit of a crying call, really, from 8 of 9. So, hopefully, he won't make too many of those. Well, there you are. We've had some interesting multi-table tourney action and some interesting cash game action. I think we're going to head over there because that was looking very interesting indeed earlier. Let's head back there. So you saw quite a nice variety of play. So let's see what's changed since we last had a look. Well, Cosgrove is there or thereabouts. He took a little hit just before we left him last time, which is rather unfortunate. I don't think he'd done anything wrong. I think it's just the circumstances. Folly's more or less the same. Snap-It's more or less the same. Assiduous, though, carries on from strength to strength. He's now on 148. And Hotties, who's been playing extremely tightly, passively as well, is just getting worse and worse. And there we are. We can see he's now dropped down to 22. And Assiduous claiming that #1 spot with 148. So he's now almost to the stage where he's tripled his money, which is fantastic. Anywhere you can triple your starting stack in a cash game, you can be pretty happy with your night's performance. So he was looking, should I say, Cosgrove, for that flush. It didn't arrive, but Folly didn't get it either. And he's trying to bet him out of it, and he's done it. And I'm surprised that was not a call there from Cosgrove, because the board had paired. There was a 2 and a 3 on the last 2 cards. That surely couldn't have helped Folly. So I'm surprised that Cosgrove didn't think about it a little bit more. I think he just threw it away too quickly. He thought he wasn't winning, but he didn't think that the possibility of Folly having something was slim too. So top pair for Cosgrove this time. How's he going to play it? Well, we've seen that Folly is someone who likes to try and make use of his position, but I don't like the call from Cosgrove. We saw him do this, I think it was him that did it earlier. You see. Now, had he have raised, there was a good chance Folly would have folded, and now he's leaped to the lead, and we could see Cosgrove do a whole bunch more chips. Yeah. He's been a bit of a nemesis for him as Folly for Cosgrove.
I feel better now. The first one's gone out, Mark, and it wasn't me. I'll not tell you anything else, but at least I'm not first out, I suppose.
Okay. Queen 10 gets a free roll. Simple little raise there, and that was enough to take it. Sneakily played there by Neat. And Snap-It seeing if he can get a cheap flop with his suited connector, 5-6. And he's got middle pair, and this should definitely be a bet here, and a pot size bet for Snap-It, maybe even slightly more, just to wants to get these guys off any bad draws, and he does. He does exactly that. That's well done by Snap-It. That's 2 into a $1.75 pot, and that was the right move for me. You can see their percentage of hands played. Cosgrove, who's playing the, well, 41% is pretty high. And, oh, Hottie's not on there. Where is he gone? He's just disappeared from somewhere. Oh, he's just left the table, that's right. And we can see the Neat Blue, he's got the lowest, only paid 20% of hands. So quite an active table generally. When the lowest one is 20% and the highest one is over 40, so it's pretty active. I think this was a good opportunity for SG to actually make a raise with his 5-6. He's in the cut-off. Sure, he wants to see a cheap flop, but he might as well add some deception to his hand, I think. And this is a good time to do it.
I'd just like to point out to the guys playing on the TV table that what time are you coming round to mine tonight is not a poker chat.
They're asking you
like, they're going completely off the subject of the game in hand, and it's terrible. They should be focused.
But calm down now, boys. Calm down.
As they say, don't tell us off. Someone has to keep you in line, you boys.
So what time are you going around there?
About 8.
So Snap It relinquishing his Rag King. And Assiduous is playing his. He is on a big blind though, so he got there for nothing. And Neat's actually flopped a nice hand there, the straight. And I think I would have preferred a little bet on that board, actually, on that flop, especially against two players. Make them pay for any potential draws that they have, which they could possibly have, rather than waiting until there's one card to come. But never mind. Got a little bit out of it, not as much as he would have liked, though. So they're probably trying to chat you up, Lyndsay, so that you know they distract you.
They're trying to distract me, I think.
Yeah, they're trying to distract you so that you know you don't try and take their money.
Yeah, they're disguising it as chatting me up, but really they're trying to distract me from the game.
Yeah, they just hope that you'll be nice to them. You won't take their money. That's what it is.
Oh, one of them just said, "Well, it's working well." Only it's quite funny because as the person who said that, I've actually got more chips than them.
Well, we've got 3 interesting hands there. Assiduous with a Jack Queen, Boostache with the Ace Jack, and Cosgrove with the 8-9. Well, that's pretty nice for Cosgrove. I'm sure he likes that. He's got top pair, up and down straight draw, no flush draw out there. That's about as good as it gets for an 8-9. And he's bet 2 into, he's bet half the pot. Now, will Boostache think I've got 2 overcards? He's thinking about it. He's got nothing at the moment, so I can see him folding this. He's just wondering whether Cosgrove was using his position to bet it. And he wasn't, because he did have Assiduous behind him as well. So I don't think that was a sort of a steal attempt there from Cosgrove. I think if he was in last position, it could be considered that. Not much going in the way of hands here. We've got King Jack suited on the button. And he makes a little bet and wins it down, and I don't mind that play at all. Well, this could be trouble for SG. Ace Queen against pair of queens. And Snap It playing the 7-8. It's a bit early for 7-8, even for me, I think. That's the only problem with it, but you can probably discard this now. Especially as he's likely to get re-raised here. I'm sure Snap It will just throw it away. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a simple fold there for Snap It. Tried to play the 7-8. Just couldn't get anything out of it. And that was a very determined fold, a very good fold there by SG. Had Ace Queen and tossed it away like it was rubbish. Nice play. So Assidious, percentages of played hands won, as you can see. Out of all the hands he's played, he's won 62% of them. So that's very, very high indeed. In fact, anything that you can get over 40% is pretty high. And he's well up there. 62 is extremely high. So that's why he's doing so well. A little razor from Cosgrove. He's finding it hard to actually, for some reason or another, I don't know why, his play's not been bad at all, but he's just finding it hard to make any ground here as Cosgrove. And I think sometimes Cosgrove, when you're in that situation where you can't seem to make any headway, even though you don't seem to be doing much wrong, it's time to just, you know, get up and just leave it for an hour or so. So that would be my advice. Sometimes you know, some of the advice that you get in poker is just get up and leave it. It's not all about just how you play your cards, it's all about game selection too. And in this particular case, for some reason, it just doesn't seem to be working out for you. So I'll just get up and leave it for an hour or so. Game selection, very important when you go to sit down at a cash table. You know, and sometimes we've all had those days where you go down to a cash table, you might perhaps multi-tabling, you're playing 2 or 3 tables, and you see that 1 or 2 of the tables, you know, one of them you're doing really well on, and the other one, you know, you just can't make more than 10%, or you can't lose more than 10%. You just seem to be hovering around that same sort of starting stack all the time. And the other one, you keep increasing, increasing, increasing. So I think this is one of those tables for Cosgrove. And when that happens, it's best just to close it and perhaps join another table. So this gives us an idea of when players fold. We can see quite a few hands in progress there, 150 odd. And we can see Neat Blue, he's been being the tightest like we found out earlier. He's folded 79% of the time pre-flop and 7% of the time post-flop. So he hasn't been playing a lot. Cosgrove, we can see, doesn't like to fold basically. So he's been playing a little bit too loose.
We've got a table full of chatterboxes here, Mark, if you can hear me typing away.
Yeah, I can hear your little fingers clicking away there.
Keeping me company.
Yeah. Damn flirts. They're just flirts, that's all you are.
Oh, they're very sweet. Someone asked me what I had, what cards I had at one particular point, and I said, "You'll never know." Of course, forgetting that it's going to be on TV after midnight, so everyone's going to know.
We're all going to know soon, yeah. Well, that's a big raise there from Snap It. And very well read, Mr. Snap It. Simple folds here for these guys. Cosgrove and Poustache, he's got nothing. And SG might want to try steal, he doesn't bother. And Neat has got a decent hand, he's going to raise it up, and that's the right thing to do. And a simple fold. So far, hand is from Neat Blue, full house, Jack's full of 8s. We saw that earlier, I believe. And a bit of a big raise here from Poustache, a little bit on the heavy side. Only because you do want people to call you with when you've got Ace King. As I said, you're trying to get guys that have got Ace Jack or Ace 10 or Ace Queen to call you, so that if that Ace comes, they start donating in your direction. So that's pretty important. Well, will Folly decide to bet out the 6? And Snappet wasn't too sure where he stood, so he thought, well, I've got no draw, so I'll try and just let it go. And that was right. Well, Snappet's up to the dizzy heights of 60 now, so he was hovering for a long time around that 48 mark, 47 mark, but a couple of hands ago he saw him make a nice little move, and it worked out fine. More risk, bigger reward, and it worked out just great. Still going okay, Lynn?
Yeah, I'm still going, which is okay as far as I'm concerned. I'm going longer than I did last time anyway, that's for sure.
Well, Ace Jack against Cosgrove. Well, Poustache makes a move with the jacks, and pretty nice for him, although DJ does have a draw, a good draw as well, up and down straight draw. When I say good draw, I mean he's got 2 of his cards are underneath, but he's now picked up a flush draw as well, so it's looking pretty good for that. Straight draw and up and down flush draw. Sorry, up and down straight draw and a flush draw.
I'm back in the real world now, Mark.
Have you?
Yes.
Ah. Well, all I can say, Lynn, is that if you're back in the real world, without saying whether you got knocked out early or not, is that if any one of those guys would have knocked you out, they've got lucky. that I know for sure, without even seeing what's going on.
I hope you're right when you watch it back and
Yeah.
and give me your comments on it. I hope so.
Yeah, I'm sure. If that's...
It'll be interesting to see what you think about the way I played anyway.
Okay. Yeah, we will see. Got to be better than these guys, honestly. Just a bunch of muppets, those people out there.
No, it was good fun.
Seven, 8, 9, 10, top pair. Up and down straight draw for Snappet. And he decided to peel one off, thinking that possible that Cosgrove's got an overpair or a big hand here, but as we can see, he's not that big. Cosgrove is wondering what young Snappit could have. Now, what's Snappit going to do here? Is he going to bet out? He is, yeah. And how will Cosgrove see this? I think he's got to lay it down, really. He has. And that's another good piece of play there by Snappit. And once again, I think Cosgrove is just really trying to force the action a little bit. He's trying to make his hands win from nothing, and it's very hard to do. And it does mean that when you do try and do that as well, you do get large swings. So did you enjoy yourself?
I did. I very
Were they being nice to you?
They were being nice to me. Very talkative, but very nice.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Assiduous has been going from strength to strength while I've been away.
Yeah, he's increased to nearly triple his starting stacks. That's pretty good.
Have you been enjoying these Beat the Presenter games, Mark?
Not when I've been playing them. No, I haven't been doing too well. You know, I played 3 and sort of done miserably in all 3.
It's typical though, isn't it, when you know it's going to be on TV and everyone's watching it?
Yeah, well, it's just, I don't know, it's just a bit of bad timing sometimes happens. You know, there are variances in these games, so I'm sure it will turn around at some point.
It's great for me, though, as a new player, and I'm sure a lot of the beginners at home, to watch the games back and sort of look at what mistakes I made and look at it hand by hand, and I think you can really learn a lot from it, and
yeah,
it's very helpful to watch it back and sort of take things away that you should be doing next time. I was definitely far too timid in the last game I played, so I've tried not to be as timid in this one.
Yeah, no, you've got to be, you know, it's all about timing. It's timing of when to be aggressive, when to be passive. There are times you want to be passive too, but there are times you want to be aggressive. So, yeah, no, it's not a bad thing at all. Not a bad thing at all. To be, have that right mixture is what you need. So DJ with a 6-7, what's he thinking? Is he going to go for a little raise, or is he going to go for a little limp and raise on the flop? Let's have a look. A little bet out on the flop. I presume he's not going to fold. Hope he's not going to fold. No, he doesn't. Okay, that's fine. That would really be too tight to fold in a cash game, and especially a fairly non-aggressive cash game like this one. If it was an aggressive, then that's different. But as it's not. Well, that's looking okay. Now, will Snappit go for the re-raise, or will he go for the check raise? Let's see what DJ does first. That's a new sort of thing that's come into Snappit's game, the check raise. Now, this is a good chance for DJ to represent this ace. Let's see if he does. He's had 2 checks to him. He's playing it very timidly. He's had 2 checks to him, and it's going to be a split pot now. 9s and queens, and Snappit, I'm sure, knows that. So 9s and queens with an ace, I think, regardless of what DJ does here, Snappit will call.
And when is a good situation where you should be using the check raise? When can it be really helpful?
Well, you've got to have a good assumption of your player and what kind of hand he's likely to have.
Yeah.
And if you feel that he's betting because of his position, then that's a good time to do it. And you have got to be, obviously, you've got to have a couple of things. One, it's got to be that he's got no part of the hand. Yeah. And the second part to that is you've got to represent to him that you could well have a part of it. Right. So if those 2 things could reign true, then that's a good time to check raise. Right. And in that case, Snappit was on the blinds, so he could easily have had one of those cards on there, a 9, I think, or a queen, whatever it was. DJ, by the same token, could have bet out on the turn when that ace hit. Yes. Trying to tell Snappit that I've got this ace. So that was, I think they both missed opportunities in the end too. They were both playing a bit too passive now. They both had lots of check, 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 and no one wanted to take the aggression. Yeah. So I think they both missed out on an opportunity there.
Nobody knew where they stood.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they did. So that was really why they checked it down, which is a shame. I think once it came to the end, then it was obvious that, you know, the board was playing. But they, you know, one of them should have bet really before that.
They've both ended up with a full house there, look.
Yeah, I don't think, I think they're just going to be happy to check it down, just in case someone's got a queen, because any little bet will be called. Yeah, he's not going to throw this away, I don't think. Should be just be calling here, there's no point re-raising. Yeah. Just called, and it's a split pot. There you go.
Yeah, we leave the cash game now. We're going to go to the MTT and see how the guys are getting on over there. Let's have a look.
Okay, we saw Poustache a moment ago on the cash game, and here he is also on a multi-table tourney, slugging it out, and he's not doing too bad, is he? He's got 8,900. He's not obviously nowhere near chip lead, but he's holding his own.
He is, yeah, a lot of play there. Tragic Trev, a regular player as well. He's flopped his flush. Another one. That's the second one we've seen tonight, which is quite rare considering it's 118 to 1 to do that.
So you can see Tragic Trev there with the flush, taking one down. So we've got a situation now where we've got some big stacks. But this is unusual, actually, because the big stack is actually not that big in comparison to the blinds. He's actually got 16,000, which is not even 30 times the big blind. So that's fairly unusual.
You normally get someone who's
got 40 or 50, yeah.
Yeah, they've gone so far ahead of everyone else that they're well in front.
Yeah, so that's unusual, which means that there's not going to be a tremendous amount of play for the other players. You know, we've got the likes of Slira, who was doing really well before, and he's doing fairly well now, but he's still only got 20 times the big blind himself. And Ace King against a pair of jacks is going to be, the Ace King's going to take that one down. So he's up to 5,000, and Slira is a bit unlucky there. He could have been up to the dizzy heights of 17,000 had he won that one. Well, girls can play. We saw girls can play actually the other day as well, doing quite well, sort of coming near, getting into the money. And a nice little steal there, and doing pretty well. Also around 20 times a big blind, so not too bad at all.
So we started off with 137, and it's going to be the first 10 who get paid out in this MTT. The first prize is $411, which
yeah, pretty nice return for your 10,
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So total prize pool of 1,370. So prizes here go all the way down to 10th, and yeah, some nice prizes if you can get to those top 2, top 3 spots.
Yeah, there's some big jumps once you get to about 4th. Big jumps in the money.
That's usually quite typical, though. You get that in any multi-table tourney, whether it's online or live, that the best prize is always in the top 3.
Yeah. It makes it worth it, though. It makes every place count. You know, you're not just going to be satisfied with just getting in the money. Every place counts because there's such big gaps in between.
Yeah, no, that's right, and that's the good thing about it. It's important to structure tournaments where there are some nice gaps, but not sort of ridiculous jumps. And I think they've done that pretty well here.
Stephen's going to want to get involved with his Jack Queen on the button there. No?
No, it's very surprising. Yeah, very surprising.
In that position, you would have thought he'd have wanted to play with that hand. I would have anyway.
Doesn't want to take a chance as we're coming to the business end here. There's 10 players where get paid, and they're around about 16 left. So I can understand why they want to, why they want to play that kind of fashion, whereby they're playing a little tighter than they normally would. They want to make sure they don't go out before they get to the money. And Stephen is probably looking for a better opportunity to get some. So Dave 81 making a raise.
Those blinds are at the level now where a lot of people are just going to be happy with the 900 chips. They're going to be happy not to see the flop and just...
That's right. As you get deeper in with the blinds being heavier, then they're quite happy to actually take it take that 900 on top of their stack, because, you know, Girls Can Play can win 900, for example, and that's 10% of her stack.
Yeah.
Well, that's, Poustache is wondering whether it's worth a call, and I think that's the right thing. Fold 5-10 out of position. It's a rubbishy hand, and there's not much going on there. So, right, good call there from Poustache. Now, Tragic Trev has hit that queen, and he's come out betting, and it's worked out for him. So, he got a walk in the, just shows you, got a walk in the big blind with Queen 5. He probably wouldn't have played that to a race. And because of that, he hit his queen and got a nice little donation. There was 1,500 extra chips to pick out there, plus the 600 he had, so that was 2,100. So he'll be pretty pleased about that. He was looking quite desperate a moment ago, but
yes.
He's
back in it.
He's back in it now, yeah.
Big slick for Sleera.
So tell me, did while you were playing that, did any of them dish out their phone numbers to you?
No, although lots of invitations round for tea.
Just for tea? Are you sure it was tea?
Probably not. It's amazing how many of our players on Poker Night Live play in their underpants. That's what they were telling me.
They're playing their underpants?
Apparently so.
Yeah. I wonder why they're telling you that.
Oh, I had some terrible images.
Well, Ian making the move there with his suited ace, ace-8. Well, Girls Can Play has got a rag ace there, decides not to do anything with it, and missed opportunity there. Just looking at the cards, because would have got a walk there with for Girls Can Play had made a move with the ace. No one could have called her, and that would have been another 900 chips. So a little missed opportunity, missed beat. So Dave electing to play his ace-8 though, but he's in the cut-off, so a little bit better position. And he makes it 1,200 and can't get called. No one's got really anything to call him with. And once again, we see there's 6 hands, 7 hands out there, and all pretty raggy. Not much of anything for anyone. Well, we've got a straight draw for Poustache, who's betting it and thinking that Ian can't have much of that 2, 3, 4 unless he's got a pocket pair. And we can see that Ian had nothing, so...
no, takes it.
Takes it, yeah. Nice bit of play there from Poustache.
Yeah, good stuff. So we're going to get back to that multi-table tournament later on, hopefully see the finale of that. But we're going to get some of your emails and text messages, loads of them coming through after we take a break. So if you want to send them through to us, you can text 62211 or you can email poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And when we come back, we're going to be watching the Beat the Presenter game.
Okay, good.
So I'm going to be getting Mark's opinions on my play and hopefully learning a lot about the mistakes I made and helping me do better next time.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah, well, put it this way, I think if any of them have beaten you, then yeah, I think they probably have to get lucky.
Yeah, but before we go to the break, Philip Kennelly from Bluff Magazine is going to be speaking to us, so we'll see you in a few minutes. Well, before our next break, I've got him on the line again. He had some really interesting gossip about some very rich games which are going on. It's Philip Kennelly from Bluff Magazine. Are you there, Philip?
I am, yep.
Hi. Now, Bluff Magazine has been massively successful in America and it's launching in Europe. Tell us a bit more about the magazine and what sort of things our viewers can find in there when it comes out over here.
Well, I think a lot of people are really interested in the online game. More. I mean, we have all sorts of things. We have, you know, the stories from the pros and stories from the circuit, hints, tips, you know, a bit of comedy thrown in there. But a lot of people are really interested in the online scene. They want to know how to do better on the internet, play better on the internet, and they want to know about the really big players that are doing really well.
So it's not just for pro players; it's for new players as well.
Absolutely, we try and have something in there for everyone, really. Some of our competitors maybe are more strategy driven. I mean, we do have a strategy, but we like to entertain as well.
Yeah.
So, but we do have a whole section because we really think that's where the interest is in the online scene as well. So we have quite a big section on the online game.
It's so hugely popular at the moment. That's the thing, isn't it? There's so many new players getting involved who've never played poker before.
Well, it means, I mean, people don't have to be intimidated about going into casinos, and I mean, we're getting a lot more female players because you know, it's just easy to log on rather than to walk into a male-dominated environment.
Yeah, definitely.
And sit down. But I mean, I think online poker is about to get bigger because what we're really excited about is this new software that's about to launch. It's called PKR.
Right.
And this is online poker, but it's going to play this amazing 3D virtual reality environment. And they've spent millions on this. And if you go to www.pkr.com, I think it is, you can check out a preview of what this is going to look like. And I mean, it's just like, it's a simulation of poker in a casino. So you don't kind of have flat cards in front of you.
Yeah.
You actually physically peek up and look at your cards. And if you have to memorize them, like in a casino. So if you forget them, you have to peek at them again, and all the other players can see you peeking at them, which is a tell. Or it can be a false tell. So if you really hit your hand and want to represent that you're still on a draw, you can peek again, and people will think that you're on a draw. So, and you can do all sorts of things like
it's like a virtual casino.
Tricks at the table and you showboat, and you can even taunt your opponent. So I mean, it's just awesome.
So they're basically just stepping the technology up to the next level and to almost make you feel like you are actually sitting in a casino with real people sitting there.
Absolutely. And we were talking about how online poker helps people who are intimidated in casinos. I mean, this is going to be really good training for actually going and sitting down at that table.
So it's not out yet, that it's just in development?
Yeah, I'm not sure when it's out, but people can go to the website and you can sign up for advanced membership. We're actually going to go down and we're going to get a preview next week and get to play on it.
Oh, brilliant.
So we're very excited about that, as you can imagine.
So something to look forward to. And do you think it'll be very expensive for people to get hold of this, or?
No, I mean, it's just, I believe it's just like an online poker site.
Yeah. You
play for real money, or you can play for play money, and you download the software and you play. And the site will just take a normal rate, like any other site.
And I guess even better, because one of the problems people often have on the internet is not being able to get tells, because obviously they're sitting at a computer, but this is going to make it a lot easier. That's
right. There will be, little things that people will do. And the fact that you can slightly, taunt your opponent. I mean, I haven't seen it. I've just seen like a preview, but I haven't played it yet. But the fact
we'll have to get you back on to speak to us, Philip, after you've been and had the demonstrations. That would be really, really exciting to find out what it goes like when you've actually played on it. You'll have to come back on and tell us about it.
I will go. I'd love to. Yeah.
That would be absolutely brilliant. We're going to go to a short break, but we're going to speak to you a bit later on, Philip, before our next break, and find out if you've got any gossip about this big $10 million buy-in tournament, which is going to be taking place. See you after the break. Welcome back to Poker Night Live. I'm Lyndsay, joined by Mark Bannon. We're here till 2.
We are indeed, yes.
Been watching a good MTT tonight, but we're going to have a look at our Beat the Presenter game very soon. Mark's going to give me his comments about my play and hopefully help some of the new players learn from my mistakes, or not mistakes. We'll find out very soon.
Yeah, well, we shall see. We shall see how those boys played against you, whether they were really bullying you or how naughty they were.
You learn so much from watching it back. I did my first one last week and learned so much just by watching it back hand for hand. So I think it's a really good learning experience for any new player. to look at it so in depth. So we'll do that very soon. But we've got some questions coming through. If you want to get in touch, as always, we're live, fully interactive. So whatever you want to ask us, you can text us. There's the numbers 62211, or you can email poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. There's the address on your screen. And you can also have your say, one of our new things on Poker Night Live. You want to hear yourself on TV, all you've got to do is call 0906 200 70 80. Leave your messages or your questions, and we play those out and put your questions to Mark. I've got an email, actually. It's a subject which I've not had an email about before on Poker Night Live. It's about online rage, which is very different. It's from Cranium, who says, "Dear Poker Night Live, love the show. Would you help me with a big problem which I'm facing online at the moment? I look down on other fellow online enthusiasts like they're nothing but a piece of dirt on my poker-shaped shoe." Nice. Basically, one time I made a really bad call when I had ace-jack and someone else had a pair of queens. My opponent said I was loose. I said, "Your mumma is loose." But he then said their mum was dead. I felt really bad, but ultimately I stood by my decision. Here's the question though, how can I control my online rage? I get so angry, I want to do very bad things to people I've never even met. Having a good temperament is part of the game, very true. So how do I make sure I don't lose my rag with fellow online people? Interesting subject that. I've never had an email like that before.
Yeah. Well, you have to be careful when you go round to his house, wouldn't you?
Sounds crazy.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to beat him in a pot too often, not in a live game. Yeah, the knives will come out, all sorts, gosh. Well, I think, you know, it is part of the game, and, you know, not everyone is cut out to be a poker player for the simple reason that you've mentioned. You know, I also get angry when people out and draw me and stuff like that, but it's how you deal with it that's really important. And if you're unable to sort of temper yourself and say, okay, well, you know, these things happen, I'm probably going to do it to people, and they're in turn going to do it to me every now and again, you know, then at the end of the day, if you can't control that, then maybe poker isn't for you. That's really all I'm going to say. You know,
have to be able to keep it cool. It's as simple as that. It's the way, like you say, it's the way you do it. All I can say, Cranium, is I'm just glad that you're playing online and not in live games, because people would be ending up with black eyes and all sorts.
Yeah, it wouldn't be very nice, would it?
No, but anger management classes, maybe? Yeah,
I think so, yeah. Go around to your local GP and see if she can put you in touch with someone that can help control those fits of rage that you have.
Maybe try sort of lighting some candles in the room and playing some classical music in the background while you're playing or something like that to relax you. Yeah,
maybe get a girlfriend, that could help.
But thanks for getting in touch, Cranium. We appreciate all your emails. Right. Without further ado, we're going to go to the Beat the Presenter game.
Or a boyfriend, for that matter. It could be not there's anything wrong with that. No, whatever you think.
Could be a girl. Right, we're going to go over to my little tournament and see how we did.
Okay, let's see your little tournament in action. Okay, so that's the first hand. You're under the gun. Raising hand. 8-5 suited.
Would you?
No, only joking.
Good. I was going to say, my first hand, at least I didn't play that wrongly.
Okay, well, Hoik Bulls, as he likes to be called. Oh, we've got a few regulars on here, haven't we? Gosh.
And Shelby asked me to point out that that's a boy playing on his girlfriend's computer.
A boy playing on his girlfriend? That's not my problem, is it?
He didn't want to be called, he was very adamant that he didn't want to be called a female.
Oh, really? Well, that's not my problem, is it?
He got some stick.
Come on, Shell.
He got some stick for being called Shelby by the other boys.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe he should get his own computer.
Yeah.
No. I think he probably likes it, really. Sort of out there. You know, he's probably dancing around in his girlfriend's clothes.
So, King Jack on the big blind. What would you do with that, Mark?
King Jack on the big blind. Well, it depends what else anyone does. Well, there's a call there. I think it's okay just to check here. So we have Miss Votavova with the best hand at the moment. Ace-9. And, oh, you've raised, okay. Now, I don't mind a raise. If you're going to raise, I would have liked to have made it a bit bigger.
Right, okay.
Because all you're doing is just increasing the pot, because no one's going to fold.
Okay.
So, the raise, you've got to say, well, if I raise, what am I trying to do? Well, you got rid of one person, so that's worked out okay. Oh, this is going to be nice, possibly. Hoik is in a bit of trouble here with, he's got kicker problems.
I've got the better kicker.
Yeah, you must feel pretty good about that hand. You've made it 80. Looks a little bit weak, so he might raise you. Yeah, he does. And as long as you don't throw it away, then very good. Oh, this is looking very nice for you. You must feel pretty confident now.
I did. I felt a bit better when that king came down, because I was actually thinking that maybe he had a pair of jacks. That was what was going through my mind. I was a bit worried.
Well, the thing to remember is that if there's 2 jacks out there, the fact that he's got a pair of jacks would be pretty slim.
Yeah, yeah.
So not a lot of chance. And he's re-raised you. Well, he thinks you're weak here. And well, this is a good start for you with King Jack. Very nice indeed.
It was going to be all or nothing here for me, though. I thought I'm either going to go out on the second hand.
I'm surprised you didn't actually bet there. Well, he's done it for you. OK, well done. So you've got him to bet for you, so that's pretty good. And Hoik. Well, I'm surprised that Hoik can actually bet out there, seeing that you've been calling all the way. He must have known that you'd had something there. But he tried to, I think he just tried to bully you, basically, and it just didn't work. So...
no, I got that impression.
Yeah, well done.
I would just back down.
Well done indeed. That's a good start, isn't it? So unlucky there for Hoik. He's in a bit of trouble now. His blind's about to come around to him as well. And Belgarion.
I've calmed down a bit now, though.
Yeah, that's a bit of an overbet there, isn't it? 160 into a 20, into a 30 pot. Very large bet there. Just trying to steal the blinds in effect, and I don't know why you want to do that with ace-queen. It's a pretty nice hand. If you're going to steal blinds with 160, you can do that with anything. It doesn't have to be ace-queen.
Yeah.
You can do that with king-4. Most of these players, most of these times you put in a bet of 160 at these blind levels, you know, no one can really call you unless they've got a big hand. So you can do that with anything. You don't need to wait for ace-queen to do that. Because let's face it, if anyone does call you when you make that kind of bet, you can bank your life on it. They've got ace-queen in a bad spot.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to call you with ace-jack, but it's unlikely anyway.
That's a good point. Making the most of those big hands when they come around.
If you do it, you might as well guarantee yourself that you've got live cards.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to make a move like that. So, not mad over that play by Belgarion. Bit big.
They're so fast, these games, though. The blinds go up so quickly.
They do, yeah. They don't look too bad when it's on TV, but they do, yeah, I know. They do go up very, very quickly.
I've never known anyone make so few chips last as long as Hoik manages to stay on in this game.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very funny. It's like Nick always says, all you need is a chip and a chair, and Hoik proved that.
Uh-huh.
He's like, because I thought, he's going to be gone very, very quickly now. But
you would expect it, wouldn't
you?
Well, look at this. He's got 10-4, but he's got such big implied odds. He's getting 9-1 for his money, but he probably doesn't like that hand. So what's he going to do? Interesting choice. I guess he's probably going to fold it by the looks of it. We'll just wait for a better opportunity. He's got another 8 hands to get something better. Yeah, no, I can sort of understand that. I guess it's probably what I would have done, I reckon. 10-4 is not the best of hands, but look at this. He would have been a bit of trouble so far, because Miss Shelby is...
Mr. Shelby.
No, Miss. It's Miss Shell. Shell's not doing too good at the moment. Well, would have been doing too good against Hoik.
I just thought I'd have a cheap little look there on the off chance I might hit another 3, and then I thought if I don't, then I'll just...
Yeah, no, you've done that. You played that fine. Yeah, you've done nothing wrong there at all.
I thought it was worth 20.
And that's a good bet by Shelby. That's the right thing to do. You want to put a bet out there to see if your opponent has anything, and he did exactly that. So well done, Shelby. Hoik won't be inspired by that hand, I don't think. 4-2. In effect, he's just calling, so he has to find a hand that's worthy of a call, and that's not it.
No, he's waiting for something, but at least he's got a little bit longer now. He can wait till the blinds go round again, hopefully get something better.
Yeah, he's got basically 6 more hands,
yeah.
So it might even be worth waiting till it's his big blind and hoping that someone raises, so that... well, that's the thing, is even if someone raises, he's only going to get double, so he's got a long way to go.
Oh, look at that! Yay!
Yeah, top of the leaderboard.
First time that's ever happened.
Yeah, looking very strong. Looking very strong.
Looks great.
Excellent stuff.
If only I could have stayed there. Right till the end, never mind. Nice while it lasts.
Well, Hoik is thinking, shall I call with 9-6? And not really a calling hand. If you're going to call with 9-6, you might as well, if you're going to call with your 20, you might as well call with something a bit better than that. I'm sure a better hand will crop up before the blinds get round to him. He's got 5 more hands. Well, that's okay for Pigeon. Bulgarian needs a 10 to make him a straight. And he's been checked here by a very crafty check there by Pigeon. And that's a very crafty, that's a call. Now, I wonder whether Pigeon is actually trapping here or whether he's not sure whether his opponent's got a better hand than him, but that will inspire him. He's now got 2 pair, aces and 9s, with a queen kicker, so he's got to feel good about that. The only problem is that Bulgarian's got absolutely nothing, so he can't call. Can, of course, raise, but he can't call.
It was a fold or a raise there.
It was a fold was by far the best option there.
Yeah.
So that's the best hand so far. Kings and jacks, 2 pair.
And it was mine.
And it was yours, yeah.
I like these graphics when they've got my name on them.
Yeah, I think these boys in the back there are...
They're trying to make me feel better because they know it's all going to go drastically wrong soon.
They are trying to make you feel better. Don't do that to me, do they? All they do is rub it in when I get a hand. When I get a hand and go out, and then they start showing it about 4 times.
Oh.
So a 6 against a pair of 3s. Now, what does now Pigeon's putting out a bet here, and he's probably doing it because it's you. To be honest, he probably thinks that he can bully you out of this.
Yeah.
And you're not having it. Gosh.
I thought 40. It's not much. I was quite far ahead at that point. I was hoping to hit an ace on the turn. Didn't happen.
No, that's 6 to 1 for you to hit an ace. 6.5 to 1 for you to hit an ace on 1 card to come.
I should have just put it down then, really. Do you think?
Sorry, what am I talking about? It's not 6 to 1. It's worse than that. It's 1 in 7 times 1 in 7. No, what am I talking about? It's about 1 card to come. Of course, there's only 3 in there.
Yeah.
So 3 of them already got. 3 cards already gone. 2 in your hand. 2 in his hand on the assumption he hasn't got. That's 3, 5, 7, 45. It's about 44 to 1, something like that. So,
a bit of a shot in the dark then.
3 and 4. Sorry, no, it's about 11. What am I talking about? It's about 15 to 1, just under 15 to 1.
Right.
And that's obviously on the assumption that we know for the fact that Pigeon hasn't got an ace in his hand, which of course he might have as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that was a bit of a shot in the dark. Sometimes people will do what you did if they're hoping to re-raise on the turn, regardless. So if the guy bets out on the turn and it looks weak, they'll come over the top.
Right.
So that would be the play for doing what you did, but just taking it that one step further.
Yeah.
So you're basically calling him. If he looks weak, then you're saying, let's see what you do on the turn. If he looks weak on the turn, then you'll come out betting. Right.
Which he kind of did, really, because he only put 40 in, and I just called his 40 again, which I shouldn't have done. I should have then.
You could have raised at that point, even.
At that point, yeah.
Yeah. You've got to ask yourself, if the guy looks weak, and there's a hand that I can represent, can I do it? So,
yeah.
So the first, let's look at the first question.
And he only put 40 in, so yeah, he probably did look weak.
Yeah. So the bet was definitely weak. There's no 2 ways about that. And is there a hand out there that you could represent? Yes, there was. There was a king, a jack, and something on the board. So you could have easily had a king or a jack in your hand, a king specifically. So you could have represented that. So both things were true, which means that you could have actually, pulled that one off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He's making this 20 last a long time, isn't he?
Isn't he? He's still going.
So, Chopper 50 has been nice and quiet in that bottom corner there, as has Miss Votavova. So, is Miss Votavova a girl, I take it?
I think it was a guy, because I think that was one of the ones who was playing in their underwear.
Ah, so, well, it sounds better if it's a girl.
I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here, Mark.
You're not sure what you're doing?
No. I think it was a cheap look. And now I've
Yeah, no, that's fine. You've done okay. You've done nothing wrong there.
I thought Jack 10, it's not great, but it was worth a look.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, it's worth a look. And I don't think you've done anything wrong there at all. Don't beat yourself up about that. Well, Hoyker's managed to double up on the curious hand, really. He's now bought himself another round. And he's picked up, funny enough, he's actually picked up almost an identical hand to the one he had last time we had a choice. But, ooh, this could be trouble. Yeah, Miss Votavova playing it very sneaky there with the queens, limping in. I quite like the bet by you, though. I think the bet is fine.
I think it's what I do afterwards that's wrong.
OK, let's have a look. Well, if he calls this, then you're in trouble because that's a very sneaky play. Let's have a look. Yeah, he's called. So this is not this is not really your fault. He's played it very sneaky. He's actually played it quite well. So on the assumption that he checks here and lets you bet, which you should do. That doesn't look like a board that would have hit anyone.
Yeah.
So let's see what Votavova does. Yeah, he's played. He must admit he's played it pretty well. He's played it pretty well. He's letting you do the betting. You should be doing the betting here. Most people bet on a 7 high flop, and he's going to probably check raise you, I guess, and then you can just fold.
If only I do.
Yeah. So basically, that's where you should have dropped it at this point.
Yeah, I should have put it down.
Yeah,
here.
because if we work it back, he's limped under the gun. Well, he's not limped under the gun exactly. There was a couple of places, but he has limped.
See, that was so silly. I know as well now, watching it back.
Yeah, but you know he could be making a move. He could be making a move on you. But he's putting in these little weaky bets, isn't he?
Yeah, and I'm always conscious that they think they can bully me because I'm a girl and they know I'm fairly a new player.
Yeah, so okay, you paid off one bet, but you didn't pay off the next. So you done okay. You done okay. I think it wasn't totally unreasonable what you did. You know, you could have done it with nothing as well. You could have done it with nothing. So I don't think
it's completely different when you can see what they've got, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think you played it that badly.
Okay.
You know, I think the limp was a little bit suspicious. You know, but it was late on. The limp was late on, so he did play it well.
Yeah.
You know, it is a chancy play to do what he did, but when it works, then it's great. I much prefer that kind of play than playing things too obviously, especially in the early stages when the blinds are low. So he played it well, and then he checked. He'd done really everything right, so it's very hard for you to put him on that pair of queens.
Yeah.
So
it's just the fact that he played it so well.
He did play it well, yeah. And when someone plays a hand well like that, then it is very hard to decipher what they've got, and it would have been hard for most players to guess what his holding was. So no, he done pretty well. He played it well, and you thought you'd have a little look at the flop after the flop to see. You called his bait, his re-raise, just to let him know that you can't shove me off this that easily, just in case you are bluffing, and you know he put another bet out there. So no, I think you've done all right. Lost a few chips, but
yeah, I've lost a few now,
because
I was quite far ahead.
But you had them
to
lose.
Yeah, I suppose. I'm still not in any danger at all.
Yeah, this is not something you want to limp in with usually. Ace-4 is not a hand you would normally want to limp in with because it's a poor ace. It's either a raising or a folding hand.
Right.
In that position, it tends to be slightly more of a folding hand, but it's certainly not a limping hand because if you hit your ace, you don't know whether someone's got a better ace than you. Yeah. It doesn't make many straights. There's too many gaps in between the ace and the 4.
And then you get people doing things like that, like Bulgarian's done.
Yeah. Well, you see, he's hoping to pick up the 100 chips in the middle. And that's not a bad flop for a pair of 6s, so he probably doesn't think that you've got a 7 or you've got an overpair in your hand, so he's likely to come out with a bet here, and rightly so. And it should be about 300 odd. No, he's made it a weak bet, and you might think you're in the lead with your ace-4. So if I was to play this now the way you've played it, I would probably have raised at this point to say, I don't think you've got a 7 in your hand. I think my 4 is probably winning.
Right.
But I probably wouldn't have played it in the same way.
Okay.
So yeah, not ace rags is not something you want to limp in middle position.
Yeah.
Really. They're
I'm never
throwaway
quite
hands
sure
usually.
what to do with them, because you see the ace and you think, well, if you can get it heads up, it's fairly strong.
Yeah, the only problem is that you still had 4 or 5 people behind you.
Behind me, yeah.
Yeah, well, 5 people behind you. There's 6 behind you now, so it would have been 5. Yeah. So 5 people behind you means that you know, there's a good chance that someone's got potentially a better hand.
Yeah. So just fold if you're going to play it, raise with it.
If you're going to play it with that hand and raise with it, but the better option is to fold in that situation.
Yeah.
A raise would be when you're in the cut-off or you're in on the button, then that's where you want to actually raise with it.
Yeah.
But you don't really want to start playing around with ace-4 before that.
So is Hoyt going to put his 40 chips in now?
It's hard to say, really. He might do.
I think that's the hand, surely. Oh,
Yeah.
no, he doesn't.
No.
Doesn't fancy it.
Well, Pigeon's going to raise here, no doubt. Make it about 120. Yeah, that's about right. Botavova probably wants to see a flop with his pair of 7s. And I wouldn't blame him for doing so. Oh, that's nasty, isn't it? Pigeon's on his way, I think.
Yeah, great flop for Votavova.
Yeah, not only does he get his set, but he also gets Pigeon, who's got the top pair.
Yeah,
So
and he's going to get paid.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Pigeon. He's hit the hand he wanted to hit. That's all that ace-jack generally makes. That's all that ace-queen makes, top pair, top kicker. So once you've hit it, you have to be prepared to die with it if that's what you're aiming for. And, oh, it's now got nastier and nastier, hasn't it?
Oh, even worse now. You think Pigeon thinks he's laughing.
Yeah. Well, he can still win with an ace or jack on the end, but it's got to be an ace or jack on the end. And he's really slow playing the death out of this hand, Votavova. And he's wondering how strong Pigeon is. And now Pigeon, can he get away with just a call? No. Puts it all in, and Votavova says, yeah, I'll take it. Well, yeah, Pigeon's a bit unlucky. I think just a call would have been nice there, but he probably was... I
think once he hit the ace as well, it was curtains for him.
Yeah, that was nasty there. He was cold decked, basically. It's what we call cold decked, when the deck gives you a nice hand but gives your opponent an even better one. Not a lot you could have done there, Pigeon, I'm afraid.
No.
Not a lot you could have done. One of those things. We are playing a sit and go. We're not playing a table at the World Series where you're going to fold 2 pair.
Yeah, no, you've got to make decisions. Like I say, when you're playing these games, it doesn't look as bad on TV, but they go so quickly.
Yeah.
And if you've got aces and jacks, I think I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah. Well, Chopper's playing sort of a game very similar to the way I play. He's not played a hand yet, so he's had a few blinds round and let that go. So you decided to play the 7-8. Oh, good girl. But
it's not very lucky for me, I don't think.
No, the thing is to realise is that, one, has the guy hit his hand? There's a good chance with an ace out there he probably has.
Yeah.
So can I represent something of that? Well, you could represent a 3 or a 9, I guess. But at the end of the day, there's a good chance he's hit his hand. So the 2 things don't work, so you can't really bluff. So you've got to have both of those things working for you in order for you to bluff. But I like the way Chopper's playing so far.
Chopper actually said in the chat box that he was playing another game as well. So he said sorry if he was being a bit slow. He was playing in some other big tournament, so maybe that's why he's been a bit tight.
Maybe. I mean, I don't mind playing tight in these games. Just that the first one I played at, no one got knocked out until the blinds were 163.20, and that was me. Then I was the first one out. But normally, as you can see, we're already down to 2040 and already lost 1.
Yeah.
And 1 is all in. So, and all out now, as he hasn't hit his hand.
No,
but so we've lost 2 in that space. So I actually prefer to play a sort of a tight type of game in these sit and goes, because you end up in a situation where now you're down to 6 players and the blinds are still low, and you haven't put any of your chips at risk, really, or a very small amount. But the same token, you haven't taken any chances. So I'll take 1 or 2 chances, but small chances.
I go through a bit of a patch of getting awful hands now, I think.
Do you? Well, Queen 9 suited is not a bad hand. I think you could have perhaps played that one.
Right.
Queen 9 suited, you're in the cut-off. Certainly worth a little bet there, I think.
Would you raise with it or just...
Yeah, I think so. I think you're in a position where you can raise. The blinds are 41.80 now, so there's some money in the pot.
Yeah.
So it's worth stealing the blinds now. You know, if you can steal those, then that'll give you that can give you you know, an extra 10% more or less onto your stack.
Yeah.
So it's worth it.
I'm glad I didn't get involved now. Get Bulgarian.
Yeah, but had you have raised, he probably wouldn't have. He might not have called you.
We'd never have got to that point. Yeah.
More than likely. And then if you would follow it up with a raise, Bulgarian couldn't call you because he's looking at the board with an ace on it. He's thinking, oh, you've raised with an ace, and you must have it. So he probably would have folded. So, but it's more risky. You know, it means that you are putting your chips at risk by playing that kind of style. And Chopper won't call you with the King 9 there.
That was probably a bit over dramatic. 320, was it?
No, 320 is okay. It's a little bit on the heavy side, but not excessively. I mean, 3 or 4 times a big blind is okay.
Yeah.
So you were 4 times a big blind. That's not excessive. There you go. Pre-flop folds, 100% there for Chopper.
Yeah, you're completely right.
And Bulgarian being the more creative of the players, as is Miss Lyndsay Horne.
Look at me playing all loose.
Yeah, look at you playing all loose.
Mixing it up a bit.
It looks like I've taught you.
I know.
Certainly wouldn't be Dr. Tom or James. Me or Barry, probably. The sort of 37%ers. But having said that, as I said, generally I play these pretty tight.
Yeah.
So King 8 for Hog. He probably thinks he's making a move here, but the hand you've got, horrible. Yeah, it's a simple fold, yeah. So, yeah, no, I like your little bet there. You got balls, girl.
Well, last time I was far too timid, definitely, and watching it back, I was looking at hands. There's so many times when I should have made moves and wasn't, so I was determined not to do the same thing this time.
No, very good, yeah. So decided that he didn't like the King 6.
Yeah, could maybe have had a look with that, couldn't I?
I wouldn't have had a look. I would have raised with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I was going to play it, because you need to once you're in these sit and go tournaments, every now and again you need to steal the blinds.
Yeah, like Shelby's just done there.
Yeah, like just to maintain your stack.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because it's an important part of sit and go play is to steal the blinds every now and again.
Just keep topping up your chips. And
exactly. Yeah, just to make sure you're not falling behind.
It pays your blinds, I suppose, as well.
It buys you around, basically. Yeah. So that's the key. That's one of the things you need to do. Because if you don't do that, it means you get blinded away. Got a nice email there, an interesting email there from Hoik.
Yes, he's responded.
Yeah, so we'll have a little look at that a little later. And yeah, he brings up 1 or 2 interesting points, which I will touch on. So Shelby with a Queen 10 doesn't want to get involved, wondering what the limper is limping with, and Votavova is showing some interesting play there. Limping. Oh no, sorry, he's the big blind. What am I talking about? Sorry, my mistake. I thought so. I was wondering, what is he limping with that for? No, he's on the big blind. Well, you've got the 7-8 again there. 7-8 likes you, doesn't it?
I know, twice.
Now, Chopper might start to get interested now. Now that he's been playing tight. No, he doesn't want to. Still wants to maintain his tight approach. But Vova is seeing if he can, and I'm not sure. Well, it's okay, he's done it, but I might have preferred Votavova to actually just limp in and steal it from you on the flop, because you generally won't call if you've missed the flop in a hand that you didn't want to get involved with. But he's taken 2 shots at it. He thought, well, I'll raise pre-flop, see if I can win it there. If not, I'll raise on the flop, up and out on the flop. So he's made himself 2 shots, and that's fine too.
I didn't have faith in the 7-8 that time.
No, you didn't. Well, you've got a suited ace. What are you going to do here, young lady? Up against a guy that has hardly played a hand. Bear that in mind. It's worth remembering. That's the whole purpose. But it's a little difficult for a new person to pick up. But let's see if you do.
No.
Okay, well, you're hoping to get lucky, yeah?
I wanted to take Chipper on just head to head.
Yeah, and I think he's more or less committed to this. It's up for another, what, 550 to him? Difficult one, he must be thinking. He might decide to fold it, I don't know. Knows that you're a new player and you'd probably be quite a tight player generally.
He's going to hate me for this because he's writing in the chat box that he's actually said that he had ace queen and he thought I had top pairs.
Well, he won't like that, will he? But he's still in the tournament, and that's the thing. You know, there's no reason. Whilst you did have the best hand, Chopper, you could have easily got outdrawn. You know, it's not. And he decided to make it look like his tilt move.
I just didn't want to know now, though.
No, that was the right thing. You don't want to call for your chips with that hand. And Chopper's back up to where he was. This time, you've got the ace-jack. Now, what are you going to do with it? Going to make a raise, and nice raise. 4 times a big blind. You've announced that to Chopper that you'll call any re-raise by doing that, so that's a good piece of play there, and you're back up to 1670. So yeah, you're playing a good game so far. I don't think you've done a lot wrong.
Thank you, not too bad. That's
tiny little things, but
it's
nothing really.
It's definitely better than last time, definitely. So at least I've learnt something.
Yeah, you've definitely been more forceful.
Yes, yeah.
Now you're aggressive.
Taking a couple more risks.
You're aggressive. You Northerners, all aggressive you are.
But that might have helped me, you see, because if anyone's seen the way I played last time, for me to go all in like that, they're putting me on a great hand because I was so timid and played so little last time.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah. You know, people will keep notes on you and keep notes, generally speaking, on how people play. So, which is probably why, I suppose, I always get people calling me because they think I'm loose as a goose. So whenever I make a move, they're all calling me.
Pre-flop action. Got an email from Miss Volotova in the game who says, I love the show, guys, but I'm all woman.
Oh, it's Volotova, is it?
Volotova, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was a T.
It looks like a T there, doesn't it? Miss Volotova.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a T, so Volotova. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. Sorry for the mispronunciation. Miss Volotova. All woman, hey? Wow.
I'm doing very well.
Oh. Well, on the TV, it's Votovova.
It is a T, yeah.
And on the email, it's Volotova. Which one is it, Volotova? Votovova. Let us know. You know the email, Poker Night Live. Is it Votovova? Is it Volotova? Which one?
It sounds scary.
I think Volotova sounds more like it was.
Miss Votovova. Sounds scary. Maybe she wants all these guys to I think she's there cracking the whip.
It could be.
Sounds like a dominatrix. And Miss Votovova. Do as you are told.
Now, Lynn. Getting all these guys on the other end all worked up.
Oh dear. And Shelby there, who assures us he's all man.
God, I don't know, we've got lots of mixtures here. Transvestites, all sorts of going on here. What's going on? Shelby who pretends he's a woman when he's a man. Volotova telling you he's a man and telling us he's a woman. All woman. Don't know what's going on.
Now then, might get some action here with the tens and the big slick.
Yeah, I think we're likely to have a casualty here. Well, I won't say a casualty, we're going to have... Well, that's an interesting bet. Votovova, I'll call it Votovova until we get... and ace-king, only calling with the ace-king, but I don't think there's much choice there, really. And Chapo's simple fold there. And looking to hit an ace, a king, or running cards for a straight. Well, the 10 will help as well now, but there's 2 of them already gone, so there's not many of those. And no, there's not 2 arrive. So Votavova doubles through, and we have our 5th place finisher in Hog. So unlucky Hog, not a lot you can do there, I don't think. You had a nice hand, and just a bit unfortunate that Votavova had a little bit better. Now, he decided to put you to the test, and you can't call with 7-9. Well, that's chip power for you.
Yeah, push me off the blind.
What's this with... I thought if she was a woman, you know, she'd be trying to help you out a little bit.
I know, well,
that wasn't very sort of...
It wasn't, was it?
Yeah, it was a bit cutthroat there, wasn't she?
Mind you, I don't think us girls have been doing too bad in the top corner there. We've been holding our own, that's for sure.
What girl's in the corner? But that's a man, you said. Shelby.
Miss Votavova.
Oh, I see.
And me.
Oh, I thought you meant Shelby as well.
No,
Shelby's
getting
really
apparently.
confused.
Ooh, look at that.
Well, a jack required for Chupper. Otherwise, he's going out. And he's a bit unfortunate. No. He's a bit unfortunate to run into a big hand like that. House up for Shelby. And Chupper played quite well. Bit unfortunate. Got to 5th position. And that's the thing, when you play that kind of style that Chupper did, all you really need is for one hand to go your way. And, you know, if that goes your way, then, you know, you can make it into the money.
Yeah. So
unfortunately for him, it just didn't. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the way he played. I actually think it's quite a successful way of playing online.
Now I'm starting to get, not panicky, but thinking that those blinds are 320.
Yeah, well, so you should.
I'm waiting for a hand now to push in.
Yeah, I don't blame you. You should be looking for a hand here. So far, you haven't done much wrong, I don't think. I can't see... Well, the blinds are coming up to you next. Now, the question is, do you want to move with Queen 8? And I might have been tempted to win the blinds, because you've got just enough to throw them off.
Right.
They can't call you without a hand.
And then the blinds are coming round as well.
Yeah, no one's going to call you for 630 without some kind of hand. And, you know, I think it's the time, exactly, where you don't want to commit all your chips on the big blind, which you could have anything. You know, you could have some rubbish. OK, it's worked out quite nice for you, because you've got a pair of 9s here.
Not for much longer.
So on a big blind, so let's see, well, the 2-7-2-5 hasn't got anything there, so Shelby might decide to take a little crack at it with a King Jack. 4-hand is not a bad hand, and the blinds are coming around to him, so I suppose that's an interesting, it's a fair play. The only thing he doesn't want to do is he's really worried only about Votavova. Now, if Votavova goes all in, he'll probably throw it away, but that's the only one that can really scare him, so he's basically put in the minimum raise to see whether Votavova comes over the top. If not, he's happy to call the raise from either you or the other one.
Oh!
And, well, he's got a big lead now, isn't he? His pair of kings up, only 2 remaining 9s in the deck, and that's not it. So we have our bubble girl.
Bye, Lyndsay, on the bubble. Terrible.
What's it like being a bubble girl?
It's just disastrous. I had to go all in there,
you
though.
Did.
I mean,
you did.
The blinds are so big, I had, you know, they were eating me up, and I thought, pair of 9s, I might not get better than that, so just do it. No, you've done the right thing. There was no, it would have been a bad fold. Had you have folded that hand, that would have been a bad fold. Even if he had aces. Not because of the hand, you mustn't go by the result, but what's going to work long term. Yeah. And long term, that is the correct play, yeah. He could have done that with ace-5. Yes. And then you're a big favourite. He could have done it with a pair of 8s, or a pair of 7s, a pair of 6s, you know. He would have done it with all of these hands. So, no, you've done exactly the right thing. I was just going to get eaten up by the blinds anyway, and may not have got a better hand than 9, so...
Well, you must remember that at the end of the day, you've got the 6th best hand.
Yeah.
In Hold'em. The 6th best starting hand.
Yeah.
Out of all of those. So, you know, if you can't move with that, what can you move with?
I just got a king came down on the flop and moved it all.
But Shelby done nothing wrong either, to be honest.
Definitely not.
He saw the blinds coming round to him. He thought, I don't want to lose 320. I don't want to lose 480 out of my 2,000 stack. So this is a good hand to try and nick with. And he'd done it exactly right. He'd done exactly the right thing, because he bet the minimum raise. He thought, if Belgarian goes all in, I can call. If you go all in, I can call. I can't call if Miss Votavova goes all in with this King Jack. I'll probably fold.
So you had to find out whether
So that's how he did it. He did it by betting the minimum, And I thought that was very well and very cleverly played. So
well done, Shelby.
Yeah, that was a good play there.
I'll lose gracefully. Don't worry.
So what's happening with this Votavova? Is she going to let us know whether it's Volatova or Votavova?
Not yet.
No, okay. Don't forget Votavova. Let us know which it is. Interesting play by Votavova. He's probably hoping for the check raise here. Well, I won't say check raise, probably hoping that Shelby will go all in and she can call, thinking she's got the best hand. And Shelby's limped and then gone straight to the lead. As long as a 10 doesn't appear, they'll stay there. Well, it does. Aces and jacks beats King High. So that was a bit unfortunate. Votavova tried to be clever with it. Unfortunately, Shelby did have a hand too. And we're about to see Shelby pushing it here, no doubt. Yeah. And Votavova, 10-3. Well, don't think he can call. Don't think he can call. Getting good odds, but not with 10-3. That's a nasty hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Votavova is cringing at the prospect, and I don't blame.
And that's not much better.
No, but at least he can, well, he can't even push with it because he's going to get called by any hand. He's got 1100, 400. Will Shelby call 400? I'm sure. Yeah, and Shelby said, well, have to push in with it. And 7 is going to play. Aces and 9s with a 7, yeah. So we have a winner, and that's Shelby.
Yeah.
Yeah, things just worked out there. Beat your pair of 9s. So it could all win different. Imagine you'd won that hand.
As long as I didn't go out on a bad play. That's
no, you didn't.
The main thing. As long as I don't mind going out, as long as I know it was just unlucky and that I didn't actually do anything wrong in the way I played.
Yeah. So yeah. So we've got some emails, haven't we?
We have. Actually, this one's from Dave Hoik, who was in the tournament. Who I took very early on. I took most of his chips and left him with 40 for quite a while.
Okay.
And he says, I've decided to bite the bullet and front up following my disastrous performance in the Beat the Presenter game.
Could I just stop you for a second?
Yeah.
Because he's got there, I mean, what is it with the spelling of these guys? This one has spelt his name Harwick Balls with an R. The other, and he's saying underneath it's Howick,
yeah.
Hoik Balls, and then he says it's Hoik. I've got the other one saying Volatova and Votavova. Come on, guys. Have you not heard of dictionaries?
They're typing so quickly, they're probably just
absolutely
missing it.
Okay, there you go.
He says, you beat me with your 2 pairs, kings and jacks, but check the river. I went all in with my pair of jacks, and of course you took me down. Mark is right. There was no need for the all-in bet, as clearly you'd been calling up till then. However, basically I was trying to bully you off the pot. I figured you wouldn't want to go all in on the second hand of the game and risk being out so early. That's where you were wrong, you see. Of course, little did I know you had the 2 top pairs, so it serves me right for trying to bully you. I'll not make the same mistake with you next time. But there really wasn't any need to put the chip leaderboard up with you at the top with 2,000 and me at the bottom with 20. That was nothing to do with me. Anyway, I did manage to stay in a little bit longer and didn't go out first, so I guess that's something. Keep up the work, guys. I was very impressed, actually, the way you made those 40 chips last.
20 chips.
20, yeah, last so long.
Yeah, he did pretty well. But there's a couple of interesting points there that I'd just like to bring up, and that is the thing to remember, Hoik, is that you can't bully new people, generally speaking, because they'll generally call you. They like to call. Now, Lyndsay obviously is different to a new person, which she's been watching here at Poker Night Live, of course. So you've got a lot of experience from that. But generally, new people are callers. They don't like to bet out so often. They're callers. So it's very hard to bluff a new player. So that's something you should just remember for the future. Of course, the important thing, I think, at that point is that you don't need to risk so many chips at the early part of the tournament. And that was the thing. I know that he was trying to bully, but I do like the fact that he did say one thing in there, and he said that he thought that you wouldn't want to go out in the first part of the tournament, and that is a man over my own heart. I'm prepared to take those kind of risks early, knowing that my opponent is less likely to actually want to go out in the early part of the tournament, whereas I don't mind so much. But I know that most people won't want to do it. So that's a big ballsy play by Hoik, and just a little bit unlucky the way it turned out. But nice to hear from him, though. And
I think you were unfortunate as well, the fact that the last game I played, I got so much stick for being too timid and not taking my chances when I had a decent hand. So I think you were unfortunate at that, because I got so much stick last time. I was more determined to be a bit more confident and a bit more ballsy in the way I played.
Yeah.
So that's definitely. But thanks for getting in touch, and it was a good game, and you've proved that you can make a few little chips last a long time in one of these tournaments.
Yeah, it was a nice email from Horne.
Yeah, definitely. This is a text from Old Boy who says, Mark, when you have a hand, when is the best time to put your chips in pre-flop, on the flop, on the turn, or the river to get paid, and why?
Well, there's a very open-ended...
Quite a big one,
yeah, quite an open question. When is the best time to put your chips in? Well, of course, it depends. You know, you've got to ask yourself, first of all, is it a tournament or is it a cash game? Now, in a cash game, this is nice easy. You put your chips in whenever you've got the advantage, yeah? Whenever you've got the advantage when you want to put your chips in. Now, of course, I'm simplifying things. It isn't always as simple as that for the simple reason that if you can gain a 2% advantage now, then you might say, okay, well, let's put the chips in because I've got a 2% advantage. But what happens if you can get the chips in guaranteed on the turn because your hand is the best hand, but your opponent is more likely to take a risk on a turn for whatever reason, depending on how the board is. So it really depends. You know, you want to push home your advantages in cash games, but at the same token, you want to maximise your returns. So you have to weigh off, offset one against the other. But at the same token, you've got to also offset the fact that you could get outdrawn as well. So that's another thing. In tournaments, it's a little different because the tournament structure is changing all the time. At the beginning of a tournament, there are chances where you want to increase your chips, and there are lots of opportunities to do that. But you want to put them in, preferably not when you're behind. However, you've got to look at certain situations. You've got to look at a situation to see whether boards are scary for your opponent and whether you can represent something that isn't there. And it's not so easy to discuss in such a vague question. I really need you to be a little bit more precise about it if you are referring to tournaments. You need to do it when the board is less likely to have helped your opponent and more likely to help you, so you can bluff in that situation. Or if you're not talking about bluffing, then you have to do it when you've got the best chance of making your a hand that your opponent just won't be able to put you on. That's really what it's about. But the question is a little bit too vague for me to answer specifically, unfortunately.
But good question, because it's one of those, it's quite vague, and it all depends on the situation. It's one of those questions, isn't it?
I think what I'd like him to do, I mean, if he can come back to us on that one and actually
be
just
a bit more specific,
a little bit more specific about one or two situations, and I'll be more than pleased to actually answer it in a specific way. But it's such an open-ended question. It can mean. There's so many different situations to come up. Yeah,
this one's quite similar actually. Text from John, not similar question, but similar. What's the best way to play small pocket pairs, a big bet pre-flop, or flat call and hope to draw a set?
Once again, it's it once again depends on the cash game, depends on a tournament, and depends what stage you are. You see, the beginning part of a tournament is very similar in a way to a cash game, and the reason being is because you have lots of chips in relation to the blinds. So you can play them in a similar way to that extent. But it really depends on you. If you want to take, life is about taking risks, and there's rewards for that. The more risk you take, generally, the bigger the reward. And it's the same in poker. By playing pocket pairs softly, then you're taking a bigger risk, but by the same token, the reward can be that much greater. It's just like if you decide to play pocket jacks in a soft way. It can be risky, it can be not risky. But perhaps what we'll do is, it's a little bit of an interesting discussion, so perhaps we'll discuss it after our next break. And after our little chat with
lots of different things in that to look at. We're going to speak to Philip Kennelly from Bluff Magazine, who's on the phone, and we'll get back to the multi-table tournament as well after we've had a break. So stick around, and we'll see you very soon. Well, before we go to our next break, we spoke to him earlier on. He had some great information about some new software which is coming out. They're stepping the technology up a level. It's Philip Kennelly from Bluff Magazine. He's on the phone again. Hi, Philip.
Hi there. How are you doing?
I'm very, very well. Now, you've got some information about the latest scandal that's going on in online poker. Is that right? That's right, yeah. I mean, as we were saying, the online poker world, people are really kind of fascinated with the scene and the big players, and they'll sit and watch them play online. These players will get hundreds of people just observing, just trying to learn the tricks of the trade. But two players, and these players have
that are actually in the top 10 online players in the world have been caught cheating and banned from online play.
And when you say cheating, what exactly do you mean?
Well, what's been happening is, and apparently this was quite common with some online players, and obviously it's been stamped out now. But what they were doing was called multi-accounting.
Right.
So a player will play in a big tournament, and it's generally the bigger tournament, so you lower limit players needn't worry. But they will log on with various accounts, so they have kind of, instead of one shot at winning the tournament, they'll have 6 or 7. And obviously, this can't happen because, I mean, it's very likely that two accounts run by the same player may meet themselves on the same table.
They're going to be playing themselves, I suppose, when the tables are broken down.
So they'll be passing chips to each other.
Yeah.
And so these two players, JJ Prodigy and Z Justin, have been rumbled, and they've had their accounts closed and the money's within confiscated, which, I mean, these are big players, so this amounts to a hell of a lot of money.
Mm. And I guess the sites needed to take that harsh punishment to kind of restore people's faith in the fact that they do take action to stamp problems like this out.
Well, absolutely. I mean, ever since the rise of internet poker, people have been, always been concerned about, is this safe? Is this rigged? And of course it's not rigged, but there have on occasion been incidences of cheating. Mm. So I think the good thing that's come of this is that the online sites have taken swift action and told everyone that they won't tolerate it. And this was reassuring for everyone, really, that we all want to play in a safe environment.
So how did they get found out? How did they catch them out?
Well, actually, JJ Prodigy was first to be found out, and he was accidentally outed by a friend on an internet forum.
Right.
He had won a tournament. I think it was a $120,000 tournament, guaranteed, on Poker Stars, I think it was. Now, he had actually won under a different name. Obviously, his username is JJ Prodigy. That's the name under which he's become famous.
Yeah.
But he won under a different name, and his friend wrote into the chat room to congratulate him on his win. And now someone noticed that, as well as winning under this new name, he had also entered under the name JJ Prodigy.
Right.
So obviously someone smelled a bit of a stink there. Z Justin was who's also a very good player and has actually done very well in live games. Came second in a European Poker Tour event. I think he's only 18. So, but he was actually the online sites woke up to this problem.
Yeah.
And kind of did an audit, and he was exposed that way.
But it's great that they've been caught out, and it does restore people's faith. Well, Philip, it's been lovely talking to you. Bluff Magazine, the European edition, is out now, is that right?
It is. It's in your card rooms and in casinos up and down the country.
And it's going to be a monthly edition?
That's right.
Excellent, so all our viewers can go out and have a look at that. It's done very, very well in America. And you're going to come on again and tell us about this new software which you're going to try out. So
I'd love to. I can't wait to try it out. So I'd love to.
We'll speak to you soon, Philip. But thank you. Now, we'll let you get off to the bar now. We're going to take a break. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks.
Welcome back to Poker Night Live. It's Lyndsay and Mark Bannon with you till 2 o'clock. Just watched our Beat the Presenter tournament, which went okay.
Yeah,
Better than last time
Pretty
anyway.
good.
Some good play there, and thank you for all your responses on emails and text messages. Before we went to the break, we had a text from John, and it's a pretty loaded text message, really. So we said we'd come back to it because there's lots of stuff in there to look at. And John wants to know what the best way is to play small pocket pairs, a big bet pre-flop, or flat call and hope that you draw to a set.
Okay. Well, the thing I would say is this. The easiest way to play them is really in the latter, especially for a new player.
Yeah.
Yeah, a new player. So if you're getting hands like 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, you know, sevens even perhaps, then, you know, even eights, then the easiest way to play them is try and hit your set. If you don't hit your set, then just forget about it. That's, you know, that's one of the things that I would suggest about doing it. Be very careful though, if you are playing a hand like a pair of eights and a flop comes 6 high and you've got a really aggressive player going at it, then perhaps he's hit his set, or perhaps he's got an overpair to your nines. So that's the thing to remember about those. So be very careful. Remember that you do want to hit your set in those, and if you do, then you know they've got great implied odds because they're a very hidden hand. No one can actually put you on those hands because no one can see that you've got a pocket pair. Yeah. So it's a, you know, it's a lovely hand to have from that respect. The other way of playing it is obviously putting out more bets pre-flop. The only thing I would say is it very much depends on what stack you have as well. Because if it's going to be, if you raise with it and it's going to be a big proportion of your stack, then you're saying to the rest of the field that, you know, you're pretty committed to this hand. That's the only thing I'm a little bit wary of doing sometimes. But the easiest way to play it for an amateur is to actually try and draw to the set. And if you hit your set, great. If you don't, then just
try and do it cheaply. If you don't hit it, then just throw it away.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the easiest way of doing it.
Because I did that in the tournament. I had the threes. I thought, well, I'll have a little look. It was only 20. Yeah. Hit nothing. Someone else put in a bet and just thought it's just not worth carrying on with it.
No, that's the way to do it. The times where it can be a little bit risky is if you play a pair of sixes and the flop comes 8, 4, 2. Yeah. Then you're wondering whether your sixes are good or not. So that's the occasion where you actually would, you know, perhaps you'd be re-raising or check-raising, but you know, that's more of a sophisticated play, and the easiest thing is, as I said, don't draw your set and just forget about it. That's the easiest thing to start off with, and that's what an amateur should do anyway.
But thank you for your text, John, anyway. I hope that we've helped you out a bit there. If you've got any questions, then please do send them through to us. It's amateur night, so you can ask anything at all, no matter how simple. You can text us here in the studio. There's the number 62211. Or you can email, and that's the address, pokerlive.co.uk. And also, you can have your say if you want to. You can call 0906 200 7080. If you've got a question or a comment you want to hear yourself on TV, just leave a message there and we'll get those played out later on. Right, I've got something very, very good for you now.
Have we? What's that?
Guess what it is.
I don't know.
It's only the final table of the MTT.
Oh, okay. Let's head over there.
Now, that's it. Last players there. We've got all of these guys going to be in the money because, of course, it's the top 10 places which were paid. We started off with 137 runners. It's a $10 MTT, 12-minute clock on the blinds, and first place is going to get $411. So we've got 7 left. So the next one to go out is going to get $68.50.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. Now, the interesting thing about it is that you'll notice that normally in our multi-table tournament, we see a lot more chips in play, don't we? And the blind's much higher. So it's a little bit unusual to see it this way. But we must remember, only 137 entered this one.
Because we normally have over 200,
yeah, it's usually nearer 300, that's right. Nearer 280, something like that. But still, it's a nice return for your money. Means that if you can spin that $10 into 411, then let's face it, that's a pretty good return. 40 times is a good return. Yeah. So we're at our final table. There are 7 players remaining. Chip leader at the moment is Dean, who's got 31,000. He's looking pretty good, which is about nearly 40 times the big blind, which is a pretty good position to be in. And he's in a very strong position, isn't he, compared to the others?
Yeah, way ahead. But no one in really, really bad shape. Just maybe... is it BRD there at the top?
Yeah, but I don't even think he's in really terrible shape.
No, he's not. He's the smallest stack, but still, no one's having a disaster of a time.
Well, not much hands for anyone here, is there? It's all a bunch of rubbish, isn't it? In terms of cards, no one's got any hands there. They can not really playable. Yeah. And he decides not to take the chance of.
Right, Baccarat just takes a small blind.
Yeah, he's going to be pleased with that. Now, BR Storm, and well, I think he's missed a couple of opportunities here. You know, he got folded to him on a small blind. He could have tried a little steal there. He could have just tried a little steal on a button in some fashion, either by calling on the flop and then, sorry, either by calling and then betting out on the flop. But instead, he's decided just to be extra patient, which can work. It depends. But I do think, you know, it's important to steal blinds every now and again just to maintain your stack. So,
no, all in with the sixes. Sounds like me when I want something. Dad, 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 dad.
you don't still do that though, do you?
No, of course not.
And we've lost him.
Dad's gone. He's gone out in 7th place, so 68.50. He's
yep, so that's
not too bad for his $10.
Yeah, he's got 7 times his money back, so that's not a bad return. You know, and you've got to put these things into context, haven't you, Lynn? You know, you put $10 in your bank or building society, and they won't be paying you.
That type of interest. No.
Yeah, they won't be giving you 7 times your money back after a couple of hours, will they?
And that's, you could look at it, that's going to pay his entry into another 7 tournaments.
Yeah, that's exactly right, where he's got even more chances.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's exactly right. So, you know, we're in a fortunate situation where we can come out and play these games. No point getting too upset if it doesn't quite go our way sometimes. It's only a game at the end of the day.
Looks like Dean's having a great time. He's got the highest stack, he's now got queens. Is Pothead going to...
He's going to do something. He's not going to let it go, that's for sure. Yeah. So, you see, this is part of the problem when you have these small pairs. If you do raise with it, he might feel that he's sort of committed now to this hand, and he's put, what, 1/3 of his chips in. Now he's got to decide whether he wants to take the shot, and he has. And I don't really like the call, I must say. And I don't like the call for the simple reason that you're only calling with a pair of 5s.
Yeah.
The guy is not going to be doing it with ace-2 or ace-3, which is the only hands that you might have an advantage over. Everything else, you're going to be 50-50 or much worse. Yeah. In this case, much worse. So I don't like calling with a pair of with a small pair.
And he's got such bullying power there as well. He's not going to risk that amount of chips with nothing. No,
and the funny thing was is that he bet over an average amount. He actually bet 3,200 in an 800 pot, which is 4 times a big blind. Now, that's okay as long as you listen to the answer. Now, basically, the guy's come back over the top to a big amount. Let's face it, if he puts in a big amount and someone's still prepared to come over the top, they must have a big hand. Had you have made a little bet and the guy come over the top, then you can debate, okay, well, you don't know for sure that he's got a big hand because it's only a little amount that you bet in the first place. But as he made such a big bet, and he's still prepared to go over the top, he's saying to him, he's got a decent hand, So at best, you're looking at a 50-50 with ace-king, ace-queen. More than likely, he's got a pair of 10s or above.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the only thing. But don't like calling with small pairs for all your chips because you're only calling. It's very bad, you know, you can only be in the 50-50 situation. So it's something you need to get out of, the habit of. If you're desperate and you've committed to that, then I understand. But he still had over 6,000 left. That was the thing. You know, it's not as if he had practically said, I'm all in here.
Once Dean had come back over the top, he needed to put it down, then he would have still been okay. But
he still would have had 6,000, and, you know, he's got to accept that, you know, there's no point getting tied to a hand where he's only put 1/3 of his chips in, he's still got a lot to play. Well, King Jack better than King 10. And, you see, and now BR, who had the same chips as the other guy before he went all in, he had 6,000 left as well. He's now up to 14.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, you know, it's not important to call with a pair of 5s. It's a very bad call, really.
Yeah.
You know, I see people doing it all the time. I see people calling with a pair of 2s, a pair of 3s, a pair of 4s. It's a really bad call to be doing that because you can never be better than 50-50.
No.
The only time you do that if you're desperate and you've got no choice. Then I say, OK, you had no choice.
Or if you're heads up.
Or if you're heads up, that's very different. Yeah. But he wasn't heads up. He had, you know, 5 players behind him. Whilst he was heads up against Dean, it's not the same as being heads up where 5 other players get cards.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you've got 5 chances of someone hitting something. If he's heads up, then it's more debatable.
You paid the price.
Yeah. I mean, I had this situation, funny enough, and this is an example of the exact same hand. The guy had a pair of fives. I say the guy, in fact, let me just tell you the story. This was in the World Heads Up Championship in the semi-final when I was playing Devilfish.
Right.
And he makes a big over-raise with a pair of fives. I didn't know he had fives, obviously, at the time. And I had a pocket aces. And I didn't want to play around. There was a lot of money in the pot. He'd created a lot of money in the pot by making such a big bet. He'd done something, I can't remember what the bet was, but it was huge. So I just went over the top. And he turns over a pair of fives and folds them. Now, he had committed about a third of his stack at that point to this hand, yet he still threw it away.
Right.
Why? Because he knows that the best he could hope for is if I'm doing this with ace-king. That's the best.
Yes.
Yeah. The worst is that I've got an overpair. And the fact that I can come over such a big bet of his must mean that I've got a stronger hand than ace-king.
Showing a lot of strength.
I'm showing a lot of strength by doing that. And this is what, and he laid it down.
Yeah.
You know, whereas some people I see calling with a pair of twos. You know, it's a very bad call. So...
and it's like you're saying, the worst you'd probably do it with is ace-king, but you've still got a lot of ways to beat him, you know, you've got a lot of...
And it's even like ace-king, you know, it's unlikely I'd still be making an overbet here to his, because he's made such a big bet in the first place.
He's
so it's making it harder.
On a high pair.
Yeah, and I'm sure he did, so anyway, he folded. I didn't show, but he folded. So important, you know, not to be able to call these hands, you know, unless you are absolutely positive that you somehow have the best of it, i.e. you think the guy's doing it with ace-2 or some, you know, but even a pair of fives, if the guy's making it, this move of 10-7, you're only 50-50 against that even.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not a good hand to be doing it with. Well, he's got bottom pair here, Kansas Coyote, and we saw him earlier, and he's come all the way through, so he's done well. But we've lost another player now.
Yeah, 5 left now.
What does fifth get?
Fifth, $109. They start going up quite. There's quite steep jumps between the prizes now. So $109 for fifth.
And fourth?
Is 130, but then we go right up to 171 for third, 274 for second, and then, of course, 411 for the winner.
Well, it's interesting you say that, you see, because to me, now, this is a bit of tournament strategy that I'll sort of let you viewers know out there. One of the things that's an advantage here is knowing the prize money.
Yeah. Now,
you can see that the prize money for fifth is 109. You can see that the prize money for fourth is 130. To me, that is not such a big difference, especially when you got first at 411.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, so I'll be sitting here and I'll be thinking to myself, well, look, if I go out fifth, I get 109. If I go out fourth, I get 130. And even if I go out third, I'm getting only 171. But yet, if I get a first or second, I get 411 or 274.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't mind if I go out fifth or fourth. It makes no difference to me. Right. There's no point grinding it out for fifth or fourth. I might as well take some chances here and put these guys under pressure.
Try to get in the top two.
Yeah, and puts these guys under pressure. Now, if I can put these guys under pressure and get them to fold a few decent hands, then it's a way of me accumulating chips.
Yeah.
Before they know what's hit them, it's too late because I've accumulated extra chips. And now I've got a really good chance of making first or second.
Yeah.
So it's important to always know the prize money. And that's the important factor. If the prize money between one spot and the next spot is not that high,
then take some chances. And yeah.
Now, people usually do that. Funny enough, people usually do that when we're playing in the bigger multi-table tournament, and you'll see that the prize money goes all the way down to 30, and 20 through to 30 is all the same.
Right.
They all get like $25 or something. So, and they start doing it then because they can see it makes no difference if I fall out 20th or 25th, it's all the same anyway.
Yeah.
So then they take chances. But you should also refine that so that you're looking between individual places as well.
Right.
Like in this case, fifth against fourth. So I think it would be important for BR Storm. He's on 20,000. He might well want to take one or two extra chances by limping in with a hand that he might not be, you know, he might not normally limp in with, maybe a pair of jacks if he gets it or something like that, to add some deception, knowing that if he gets paid off, there's a good chance he could win this tournament.
Yeah.
So that's the thing to think about.
That's a good point, actually, because as long as you're going to, you know, if you go out, you're going to be quite content knowing that if it had paid off, you're putting yourself, like you say, with a great chance of actually winning the tournament, so it's worth it.
You know, I did this when I was playing in Australia. I had that exact same thing. I was on the final table. There was 5 places, and there There was one guy, I was the 4th shortest stack.
Right.
And there was one guy who was shorter than me. Now I was looking at the prize money, there was, well, there's a reasonable amount of difference in this case. It was something like £10,000 English pounds difference.
Right.
But the prize money for first was £200,000 pounds. Now 10,000 out of the 200 is really very small. So I was willing to take a chance from 5th to make a big jump with chips.
Yeah.
It didn't work out on that occasion, but it won't always work out.
Yeah.
But the point is...
At least you've took the chance and you've given yourself with a shot at winning it.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. I gave myself a shot at winning £200,000 as opposed to winning an extra 10.
Yeah.
So, and this is what, you know, life generally is all about. It's all about taking a chance to get that, you know, to get that first prize or to get that second prize.
Yeah.
So, you know, even second, I think, was around about 120,000.
So it was
so it was, you know, it was worth taking a chance in something like that.
So, Kansas Coyotes put all these chips in.
So, BR Storm with his ace-2 of diamonds. A bit early for him to be playing it. And he's just limped in. He's hoping to gain position, and he has done. Now, it does look suspicious when someone does that in this kind of multi-table tournament, and he's perhaps trying to do what I suggested. Let's see. If he comes out betting here, which I hope he does, he can represent... and he's missed his opportunity. He tried to represent... He represented a big hand by doing it. And he's getting 2 checks now. Come on, BR. No, he's... And now he's let them slip in. You see, this is very, very... I don't know why he's done that. It's very unfortunate, isn't it? He could have taken a pot of 3,000, uncontested.
He was ahead anyway, so...
Yeah, and now he's just lost out.
Yeah.
Yeah, big shame, that. Big missed opportunity. He's limped in. He's made it look like he's potentially got a big hand, because why else does someone limp in that position?
Yeah.
Most people normally raise. He didn't, and he saw people checking to him all the time, and he still didn't want to bet. So he's missed a shot.
To represent the Queen and...
Yeah, he's missed a shot there. He's missed a shot. He had 18,000. That would have put him on 21. And whilst it's not a huge difference, if you can, you know, that bought him an extra 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah, of course.
So, you know, it bought him 2 rounds. That's 3,000, 1,500 a round. He can afford to see an extra 10 hands for that money. And in that 10 hands could be one of them that pays him off. So that is I think that's a big missed opportunity there, but we'll see. Never know. His tight style might... well, in fact, it wasn't that tight, really, limping in with ace-2 suited, I suppose, but passive style might end up paying off. Let's see. Or maybe he's waiting to get it 3-handed and then he'll start.
So when they checked round to him, he should have put the bet in then. And then if someone had come over the top of him, then he could have put it down. If he was unsure, at least then he would have found out where he was. And
the thing was, he wouldn't even have to put in a great amount. He could have just put in a pot-sized bet of 3,000.
Yeah.
And that would have won him,
Yeah, it would have won him. And if someone had a better hand, they would have re-raised. So... Yeah. He would have known exactly where he was, whereas he just checked and still didn't have a clue when the turn came down. It was another queen. He still wasn't quite sure.
The thing was, though, I don't think anyone would have checked a queen high flop in that situation.
No.
Why? Because you're up against 2 players. You want to take it down there, and then you don't want to try any tricky stuff.
Yeah.
So they're likely to have put out a bet on that hand to try and just take it down there, not to give anyone an out draw. So because BR Storm hadn't raised pre-flop, so it's not as if they thought that I'll check this queen because he's going to bet out. So. I think that was a missed opportunity there. Yeah, definitely. Now, this will be interesting. Now, let's see if Rich decides to bet. No, he's doing it too. He's doing it too. You know, he's let the guy... Now, the guy might... Now, see, if I was running Lee, I would be betting here with the queen. And the guy wouldn't be able to call me. Yeah. Because I've seen the guy shows weakness. You know... So, you know, I think they're all... I don't think they've really taken... They're all playing so tight that they're desperate to try and grind their way into the money, whereas really they should be saying, look, there's no difference between 5th, 4th and 3rd, very little. Yeah. Let's try, you know, this is a time to be creative. And they haven't. They've just carried on as if the prizes are still in 10th place. Yeah. So this is the way they're playing. They're playing like it's 10th place at the moment, and they don't want to do anything silly and go out with $10 or $20, whatever it is. So they're all playing a bit too passively, and this is really the time you want to get creative when the money doesn't change a great deal, but the chances of winning big is there. Running Lee finally makes a bet out here. So anyone wanting to take this by the scruff of the neck,
they could, yeah. If
would have had it by now.
Aggression now, it's going to work probably, because the rest of them aren't doing it. It just needs someone to take the bull by the horns and show a bit of aggression.
It does, yeah. And the only problem now is the blinds have increased a little, which means that it's a big portion of their stack every time. So they might start to get a little bit more worried about that and start to show a little bit more natural aggression anyway.
So 5 left, all in the money, just depends how much now. Next one out is going to get $109. Don't forget as well, if you want to put a question to Mark before the end of the show, send them through to us now. We'll read a few out before we go, so get them in. 62211 is the text number, and the email address is poker@pokernightlive.co.uk.
So, did we have any response from Vola or Votovova?
I don't think so, no, but I think it's... I do actually now. You are the only one, Mark, who almost pronounces the name correctly and just says, thanks for trying. It's easier to be known as Miss V or Vota. And her real name's actually Olga.
Olga?
Ollie, yes.
Oh, I met an Olga. I met an Olga in St. Kitts. I'll tell you about that in a moment.
It's Votovova, though, so there you go.
It is Votovova.
Votovova,
okay.
Yeah. So the blind 600, 1200 now. Coming to the end of our MTT, started off with 137 runners earlier on tonight.
Well, I was just telling you before I met an Olga in St. Kitts. It was actually the Olga Varconi, who was, if you remember, Robert Varconi, who was the World Series winner.
Yeah.
In Vegas in 2000 and, what was it, 2002 or 2003? 2002. And yeah, he actually, his wife is called Olga. So there you are.
Sounds like
Russian.
A German name, or yeah.
Olga. Yeah, I think it's. I'm not sure where she's from actually. I can't remember.
So there you go. Definitely a female.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for correcting that for us, anyway, Miss Votovova.
You're doing it now.
I'm saying
Votovova.
Votovova, that's it. Oh, Rich has got the 9s. That's what I went out of my tournament with.
Yeah, they're playing very cagey, aren't they, this lot? Very cagey.
Still, nobody storming ahead.
Now, that particular tournament, if I remember correctly, was one that a lot of people remember for John Shipley. Yeah, you might remember the little story I told you with the 2-3 of hearts that I raised in the tournament a couple of years back. Anyway, he's the one that had a huge chip lead in that tournament with on the final table, and just had a couple of situations that he didn't play too well, and gave it all away. So that was something that took him a long time to get over with, I think, because he ended up finishing it in 7th.
Right.
And it was a missed opportunity for him, a lot of people felt, you know. But he did have a good win last year. So in one of the, I think one of the EPT events in the Vic.
Yeah.
So that worked out okay for him. But yeah, apparently he's quite a good player. But I've only played with him once.
But missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity, yeah. He got to the final. He had a huge chip lead over the field. I can't remember what it was, but it was massive, really huge. And he made a few crucial errors. He doubled up a few people. And before he knew it, he was going out in 6th or something. Yeah, what was it? Let's have a look. Going in 7th, in fact. So there was a difference in prize money.
How much was that for 7th?
Well, $125,000, but
still money I can only dream about. You see.
Well, you see, but the first prize was $2 million.
Yeah.
And when you've got a huge chip lead over the field, we're not talking about just a little bit more. We're talking about huge. He had
miles ahead.
3 or 4 times, I think, the nearest person to him. So he was so far ahead, and just
unfortunate.
Yeah, just perhaps lost his composure a little bit. Yeah, but
learned a big lesson, I bet, though, losing out on $2 million. I'm just going to squeeze a quick email in.
Okay.
It's from Pustash, who we were watching earlier on. And he says, great show as always. I'd just like to respond to the online rage email, which we had earlier on. There's a guy who wants to do horrible, nasty things to people he hasn't even met when he's playing online. He says, I think it was me he was talking to, and the reason I replied with that comment was exactly to make him think about what he was saying. It isn't actually true, but he was being an idiot, and I'm up for laughs and banter, but a lot of people were getting offended with some of the ridiculous comments. I'm glad that I've made him think about what he's doing, and no hard feelings, however. And he says, once again, great show, thank you for that. And it's interesting that it was you who he actually made the comment to. He made a comment about a guy's mum in the chat box, and doesn't seem to be able to control his temper when he's playing.
No, well, I think the question really is, Pustash, is why were you calling for a middle pin? Why were you calling for a gut shot? That's what I want to know. So, naughty boy. Naughty boy indeed. So, yeah, you do get a lot of people. At the end of the day, you can always block these people's chats. So, there you go.
And at least you've made him think about what he was doing.
Yeah. We're trying to get back that other game, but I think we're having 1 or 2 technical difficulties. So, have we got time for another email or 2?
Yeah, I've got plenty of emails. Chupper as well, you know, who we were watching before. He was in the Beat the Presenter tournament. He says, I really enjoyed my game with the Ice Maiden.
Is that you,
is it? It's a comment which I made in the chat box.
I quite like that name for you, actually. It suits you.
He thanked me when I put a hand down. I folded a hand to him when he took the chips, and he said, thank you very much. And I said, oh, don't worry about it. I was feeling charitable. And he said, oh, keep doing it. I said, right, I'm going to turn into the Ice Maiden now and start being strict. So there you go. It'll be my new name.
What else does he say?
Thanks for the comments on my play, Mark. I play a lot of 10-seater, $2 sit and goes in the exact same tight style, nicking blinds later on thanks to my tight image. Sometimes I do run into big hands or get outdrawn, but this happens not too often. I currently have approximately $150 profit in about 150 $2 sit and goes. Every 1 in 5 games or so I do come out from the bubble, but also about 50% of the time I come in the money. So,
yeah, it does work. You know, there's no 2 ways about it. I've made a lot of profit from sit and goes, generally playing exactly that same way.
Yeah.
You know, there's no. It's very monotonous. It's not the most exciting way, but I made a lot of money in 3 out of the last 4 sit and go times that I've been involved. So it's a nice, easy way to make money. You know, a lot of the times you can just go in there and you'll find that you don't have to do hardly anything. You know, you just let the people knock themselves out. And
I'm sure it was you, Chipper, as well, who said that you were playing another game as well at the same time. So I guess you're not going to get bored playing like that. You've got something else to occupy you. You've got 2 on the go at once, so you're not just going to be sitting there folding, getting bored, getting irritable. So definitely.
Absolutely.
Right, we're going to head to a cash game now, Mark, and have a look at a 50-cent cash and see what's happening at that table.
Cool, okay.
Nice of our players to get in touch anyway, who were playing in the Beat the Presenter game.
It was indeed, yeah. So we're now watching a 25-cent, 50-cent cash game. This one's a little bit different. They're playing for real dollars in front of them. Minimum buying $5, maximum buying $50.
And there's the man himself who was the victim of internet rage, not road rage. There's a poustache there who is at the cash table. He's got $82. The maximum you could sit down with is 50, so not doing too bad. A lot of these players been here all night. Cosgrove there. Snap it as well.
Well, Snappet's increased his stack very nicely. And he seems to be doing it with the worst hand every time that I've seen him in the last few hands. So very nice indeed. Nice play there with the ace-jack a moment ago.
We maybe see if we can get the results of the multi-table tournament if the viewers want to know who ended up winning that, because of course we lost the
lost connection
towards the end. But,
that would be nice to find out if we can.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to see if we can find out the information. Sorry about that. If you're looking forward to that.
Yeah. But we'll hopefully see some good action in this cash game anyway now.
Yeah, it's been quite a good cash game, hasn't it? We left it earlier and there was a lot of nice moves and interesting things happening. So I'm quite glad that we're back with it, because there was a lot of good action to follow and lots of interesting plays. Snappet has been playing some very interesting stuff, actually. Don't know quite, Snappet, he does some funny things sometimes, but he's made some very strong plays in certain situations, so that's quite good. Quite good to see. He was a guy that was just used to play very, very tight, and I think tried loosening up a little bit, and it worked for a period, but then didn't work so well, and he's sort of somewhere in between now, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hello, Ken. He sent a very nice email about me, apparently, to Malcolm the Rock.
Did he?
So, thank you, Snappet.
Ah. Everyone likes you, don't they?
No, not everyone.
You always have these sort of people sort of cheering for you.
No, not everyone. Not everyone on the forums.
Well, I don't think anyone likes everyone on the forums there. Well, this is a strange bet there, because SG has just made it a small little bet. And, well, it's worked out okay for him, hasn't it? Because he's got Snappet with a top pair, so he might bet at this, and Snappet will probably re-raise him, as he should do, to find out where he is.
Yeah. See how they play it.
I don't think Snappet can put him on this hand, because it's such a strange bet that he made pre-flop, just doubling the bet. And look, even a 7-9 is interested.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting, because SG must be wondering what these guys got.
What's he got, yeah.
They might be thinking, he might worry about them having King 10 now.
No, he's made it bigger this time, and that's pushed Folly off. What will Snappet do?
Well, Snappet is wondering whether he's got a king in his hand, and that was a bit of a lucky card there for Snappet. Had that king not have arrived and the board paired, or some low card coming on there, I think Snappet would have lost a lot of chips. So that was a bit of fortune for Snappet there, I think. But a strange play there by SG, only putting in like a minimum raise there. You don't normally do that with aces, so I suppose maybe that's why he did it. But look at this, Lynn. Queen Jack has flopped a house. Don't see that often. And Cosgrove is going for a, well, I don't know what he's going for actually. He's got a straight, is it? 8, 9, 10, Jack Queen. Yep, straight. A 10 will give him a straight, but paired board, not good.
Nice full house. Little email from Rab Mark, who says, I hope you're well, Mark. Speak soon.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know Rab. It's a friend of mine. Glad you're enjoying the show, Rab. We haven't spoken soon. He does send me lots of joke emails, though.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he sends me every day. I seem to get another one from him. So I think he needs to find something to do better with his time. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Play more poker.
He's not working hard enough. That's all I can say. Work harder.
If you want to get a question to Mark before the end of the show, then get them through to us now. Text number 62211 or email poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. We'll have time for a couple of questions before we go, I'm sure. So if you want to put your questions to Mark, then send it through now.
I think that Vim is letting you off, Rab. She's not working you hard enough. She's probably doing all the hard work and you're just sitting back, not doing anything. So we've got when players fold here, where we can see lots of stats in for these guys. And we can see percentage of pre-flop fold, 22% for Neat Blue, who's at the top. He folds the most pre-flop. And Cosgrove is the most active, as we've seen throughout the course of the evening.
Yes.
He obviously didn't want to take my advice.
No.
No, my advice was to him, oh, he has now. He's gone.
He's gone. He's gone to bed.
That was about 2 hours ago I told him to do that.
Yeah.
So
He's been getting involved in all sorts, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He's been trying to... I mean, I quite can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to force the action a little bit. And you've got to accept that in cash games, you just can't always force it. It's a very hard thing to do. It really is. You can do it.
You've got to grind it out.
Generally, yeah. Most players, even the very good players, will grind it out. The exceptional players will be able to force action. Right. But it's a very, very tough skill. Very, very tough indeed. So it's not something I would normally recommend for most people. More than not, you make the most of your situations that do come up, rather than trying to create situations, and that's the thing. You can, as I said, a small percentage of people can actually manufacture situations, but I wouldn't I never recommend that to anyone to do. It's just too hard to do.
Yeah.
You need to have a very good understanding of your players, and you also need to they know lots of intricate moves and plays. So not always an easy thing to do. So we've got A7 making a move here, and he takes that one down. And Snap It is now our chip leader with $100. He originally started off with $50, and it's increased that by another $50. So he's up $50 for the night so far.
So Folly's hit his pair of nines.
Yeah, pair of nines for Folly, and he's raising it up. Betting, should I say. And Poustache is looking, he's thinking, well, I've got backdoor flush potentials, I've got backdoor straight potentials, I've got 2 over cards. If he thinks he's at it, it might be worth it. And I don't mind a call here, to be honest with you. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. He's got backdoor flush now. He's got quite a nice hand, although Folly won't let this go too easily. Well, now he's got to decide, Poustache, whether he wants to bluff at this or not. Now, this is a strange bet by Folly. I say it's a strange bet because most times an overcard to that board will mean, a bit of worry for Folly. Yeah. So Poustache might have looked at that and he might have said, well, hold on a sec. You're betting what was potentially top pair. Yeah. And now that jack's come and you're still betting. Why is that? Yeah. How comes that hasn't scared you? And we can see it hasn't scared him because he had 2 pair. He
had the jack, yeah.
Yeah, he had the jack as well, that's right. So Poustache could well have come in with a raise there and it wouldn't have been unusual. Yeah. It wouldn't have been an unusual thing to do. But fortunately for him, he didn't, and he decided that he didn't hit his flush, so we can let it go. But the nice thing is that had that been a jack of spades, I'm not sure what Jack Folly had in his hand, but if had that been a jack of spades, he probably would have got paid off by
Folly.
By Folly, yeah. So it just shows you. But I don't mind that little bit of play there by Poustache. He had a little go, had some backdoor stuff and overcards. It was okay, but you do have to play those very carefully. Well, open inside straight draw for Poustache, This is the kind of hand he wants to bet at, and he does. He does the right thing. Well done. And Martinek has got no draw at all, so he's just let it go. So good play there by Pustache. I think we've got a good player there in Pustache.
Yeah, he
haven't seen much of him
before. Doing anything wrong, does he?
No, he's got. He seems to have a good feel for the game so far, as has Snapit. And in fact, quite a few of these players have been playing pretty well so far. But they're the ones that I've particularly noticed in the last few hands, anyway.
Just calls with his small pair on the button.
Yeah, and let's see, will he make much use of his button here? No, he didn't. You see, it's checked round to him. Good time to make a bet when no one's checked. You know, you've only got one overcard there that's really worrying you. That's the king.
And he's ahead.
Yeah, no, see, he's let them check
Just
too much.
No, yeah.
No, he's got away with it on this occasion, but I would have liked to have seen a bet on the flop. I would have liked to have seen a bet on the turn. He should have been betting there. Now, Folly might have a go at this, I don't know.
Well, he's seen no strength for anyone else. He could have taken it then, couldn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was a missed opportunity there. Now, he did actually win it anyway, but unfortunately, when you're playing against two players like that, there is a chance that one of their cards will hit, and you'll end up with a missed opportunity and scratching your head wondering why you didn't bet out earlier. So I think there's only one card he had to worry about, the king. He didn't have to worry too much about the 9, because other guys would have worried about the king themselves if they didn't have it. So I think he missed an opportunity not to bet on the flop. And even if he didn't decide that he didn't want to bet on the flop, just in case he felt they might have been trapping him, once they checked twice, then you guarantee that they haven't got that. So he could have come out betting. A decent bet there would have got rid of them. And that's the thing about poker. It's, once again, as I said, it's really about maximising the situations that you come up with. You want to maximise the chances that you get, because that could have easily just fallen to one of the other guys.
Especially when they're not showing any strength. They're not... I'm
not sure who the other guy in the hand was. Was it Neat Blue? Or was it SG?
SG.
Right, you see, and he missed an opportunity not to bet in the on the turn. Once he's seen that the other guys have checked on the flop, and an inconsequential card has fallen, or 2 I think it was, fallen on the turn, then he could have easily just bet out there, making out he was trying to slow play the king. So that was a missed opportunity for him too. Now, I'm not saying you have to be like a lunatic, you know, like loony raising machine, but I think these were opportunities that you don't often get. And these are things that you've got to watch out for. Especially when you're on a fairly quiet sort of table. You know, no one's being really ultra aggressive or anything. So, you know, these are plays that you can get away with.
Yeah. So you've got I'm Not a Minger now, who's taken the seat of, what was his name? Oh, it's gone from my head now.
I don't know.
Our little loose cannon who was sitting in the...
Oh, Cosgrove.
Cosgrove, that's it.
Well, flush for high-low, and a flush draw for SG. And he's hit it.
Yeah, and he's got the better flush now.
Yeah, and he's got 10 high flush, so he's drawing, let's see, there's a jack, king or ace he could be losing to, and he's re-raised him, and he can just but call. He can't let it go, I don't think. But he's got to realise, high-low, that he's not going to be doing that with anything less, is he, than the king?
Yeah.
Yeah, so high-low probably knew he was dead, but you can't let it go for the extra $3 just in case it is a move. So I understand the call there. So Queen 6, can't do anything there, and that's what people should be doing. They're checking round to you, bet.
Yeah.
You know, check usually means weakness. It's as simple as that. You know, people are all so worried they're seeing sort of, you know, all cloaks and daggers everywhere. You know, people trying to trap them and wait for them in dark corners and stuff like that. It doesn't really happen in poker. Most people will just play the hands they have. They won't sort of check raise you all the time. Some people will. But you've got
if you do, at least you've bet, at least you've found out where you are. And if they do check raise you, then you can put it down after, but at least you know exactly where you are. And you're asking the question, have you got a good hand? Whereas if you just check as well...
Absolutely, yeah.
You're not getting any information.
No, and you're stopping yourself from winning the pot that, you know, when you're in position, then that's the time you want to try and win this pot.
And if they do check raise, you can say, all right, fair enough, he's come over the top of me. I'll put it down now, and you know exactly where you are.
Now, Hilo has an inside straight draw. He's seen weakness from Poustache. He can bet, and if he gets called, he's still got outs. And he doesn't, you see, so that's good play. Well done, Hilo. Very simple. And he wins a pot of, what, $5 was in that pot or so. So, nicely done. Purpose of, and that's the whole beauty of, we say that position is important, Lynn, but it's only important when you're actually using it.
Yes.
There's no point to saying
sitting on the button and doing nothing with it.
No, that's exactly right. You know, we say that the button's important, and it's important for a reason, because it gives you information. But if you get this information and you don't use it, then what's the point of having the button?
Exactly.
You could be in any position and do that.
No, definitely. So we've got Poustache, Queen King on the button.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Now, Neat Blues, I think he's, I can't remember, is he the tight one or is he the loose one? I've forgotten which one he is. I know he's either at the top or the bottom of the table. I can't remember which one though, but anyway, it looks like he's
not played with anything crazy. I think he's quite...
Oh, I think he was a tight one. He was a tight one, yeah. So it's been raised here. Now, Neat Blue, I think, can fold this. No, he's called. You see, this is the trouble. Look what's happened, Lyndsay. He's called the raise, and now he's going to lose a lot of chips by calling a raise with King Jack. See, and this is a dream for Poustache. He's bet, and Poustache will raise, and Neat Blue will, well, as long as a 10 doesn't come. Probably make it. So I think we're going to have to make this the last hand, aren't we?
I think
Lyndsay?
we are. Yeah. Let's see how it's played out though before we leave.
Yeah. Well, Poustache won't throw this away. He'll probably bet, I think. And as long as a Jack or 10 doesn't come.
Queen. He's got 2 pair now.
Yeah, you'll like that. Makes no difference if the guy had 10 Jack. He had the straight already, so that hasn't made any more options for a straight. He might be worried about the 10 Jack, so he'll probably just call here, and he does, yeah. And King, that's what happens when you call, all because of that bad call with King Jack. Yeah, it wasn't a hand you want to call with. You've limped in. I don't mind a limp so much. I'm not enthused about it. Yeah. But once you've been raised, then get rid of it.
But good, guys. Quick email from Shelby before we go. Shelby was playing in the Beat the Presenter tournament. He said, I want to let you know why I was wanting you to tell Mark that I'm a guy, because Mark was commenting on my game with Barry Bully, and you both never knew if I was a guy or a girl, and you asked me to email and let you know. And he says, I want to say sorry to Lyndsay for putting her out of the Beat the Presenter tonight. He says, great shows always. I watch every night. It's a social life, not a programme.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, very nice. And thanks for letting us know, Shelby. I shall refer to you as a guy in future.
Yeah, and don't be sorry. It was a really good tournament. We've got to go now. We're coming to the end of the show. But thank you for watching, and thanks for all your texts and emails. Tune in tomorrow from 10 o'clock from Mark and me. Good night.